What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
12 WS. Chapter 276. He got all the information he wanted. Sage of Six Paths, almost unabashedly stated his purpose of coming here. Moreover, I want to show in front of Yamamoto Genryūsai whether I am qualified to know everything. It is at this time. The remaining captains of Gotei 13, who hadn't made any action before, finally reacted. I want to see what you are capable of. It's interesting to dare to come to my Gotei 13 headquarters. At this time, Hiroku Shunsui, Yamamoto Genryūsai's lover, said lazily. With that, Hiroku Shunsui's voice fell. The captains of the various teams around, all moved. Next moment, I saw that many captains rioted their own Reiatsu, and then pressed towards the clone of Sage of Six Paths. In an instant, Sengoku of the Buddha and other marine leaders and the shadows of the ninja world all felt the power of the Gotei 13 captains together. A wave of coercion keeps coming up. Reiatsu whistled out one after another. Laugh, laugh, chi 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 chi, just the blink of an eye. The clones of Sage of Six Paths were all destroyed by the captain of Gotei 13. No chakra fluctuations, and after seeing this scene. As the challenger 18, Sage of Six Paths was naturally a little stunned. You know, although Sage of Six Paths at this time is not as strong as it was at its peak, anyway, the Rinnegan he has is not fake, and he can see everything clearly. Just as the former Maelstrom Nagato did, it was Rinnegan's basic ability to absorb chakra. This is also the fundamental reason why in front of Rinnegan, except for Shanju and Physique, all other ninjutsu are meaningless. Moreover, the clone technique he exhibited by Sage of Six Paths is not a simple shadow clone technique, but a true clone technique, which itself has some characteristics of Sage of Six Paths. Ordinary ninjutsu and chakra's attack can't defeat it at all. But, what about this moment? The captain of Gotei 13, just Reiatsu whistling out, easily wiped out all of his clones. This undoubtedly illustrates a fact. That is, there is no chakra in them, but another kind of power. Sure enough, these guys are not simple, they belong to another world. Sage of Six Paths, you have to experience everything yourself before you can be sure. Is it unique to Seireitei? And while Sage of Six Paths was still thinking about it, Hitsugaya Tōshirō's voice not far away rang and passed into Sage of Six Paths' ears. Is that enough? It saddens me too much. If this is the case, let you know our strength. Following the sound of a voice full of weakness but with disdain, Sage of Six Paths had already noticed it, and did not know when Hitsugaya Tōshirō had appeared beside him. Sit on the frosty sky, Hyōrinmaru. Following the singing of Hitsugaya Tōshirō's liberation language, I saw that the Zanpakuto in Hitsugaya Tōshirō's hand was filled with endless chills. Immediately afterwards, read more at mtlarchive.com. This terrible chill, then, slammed in the direction of Sage of Six Paths. In an instant, the blade light slid across the air, creating a strong coercion. With the help of the exaggerated vision effect provided by Rinnegan, Sage of Six Paths was able to determine the attack trajectory and speed of Hitsugaya Tōshirō in a flash, and also analyze the power contained in it. Sage of Six Paths to see everything clearly. Immediately, he performed celestial arts on Hitsugaya Tōshirō, and wanted to defeat Hitsugaya Tōshirō with a single blow. See this scene. Hitsugaya Tōshirō chuckled. He dodges, avoiding easily. The attack was directed at Jashiro Yukitake behind Hitsugaya Tōshirō. Jashiro Yukitake stood there pale, but did not hide. All the waves turned into my shield, all the lightning turned into my blade, Sogyo no Kotowari. Immediately, the powerful magic of Sage of Six Paths was directly absorbed by the knife in Jashiro Yukitake's left hand. Then, boom, the knife in the right hand, which had not appeared to be very strong, suddenly exploded with a strong repulsive force. Boom, a powerful wave of air whizzed out from Jashiro Yukitake's right knife in an instant, and swept directly at Sage of Six Paths. Sage of Six Paths was shocked when he saw this, looking at Jashiro Yukitake with an incredulous expression. He never thought of it. Someone was able to absorb his own magic. What the hell does this happen? But, at this moment, he has no extra time for him to think. Because, Jashiro Yukitake's two attacks are already coming. Mindful of this, the figure of Sage of Six Paths was a flash, directly avoiding two attacks from Jashiro Yukitake. And these two attacks were a violent bombardment on the wall not far away, and there were bursts of violent noises. This game, you can't live without me. Immediately, Zaraki Kenpachi's wild voice sounded again. The voice fell. Zaraki Kenpachi has appeared on top of Sage of Six Paths. At this time, the big sword in Zaraki Kenpachi's hand was slashed towards the body of Sage of Six Paths. This sword, with its fiery sword pressure and endless brute force. Although, Sage of Six Paths at this moment also passed. Rinnegan knew how Zaraki Kenpachi's attack was. But, no, that does not mean that you can resist. Sage of Six Paths felt a tremor in the depths of his heart. This is an instinct. The instinct that everyone has. The instinct of fear in the face of death. Therefore, Sage of Six Paths did not hesitate at all, and immediately chose to dodge the figure, trying to avoid this attack by Zaraki Kenpachi. When Sage of Six Paths was in shock, Byakuya Kuchiki's Zanpakuto had arrived. The captains didn't fight Sage of Six Paths seriously. I just want this guy to know that he is just so. In Soul Society, he is not qualified at all. Right now, although, when Byakuya Kuchiki slashed at him, the movement was so fluttering, as if he didn't use much strength at all. However, Sage of Six Paths was able to see through Rinnegan that Byakuya Kuchiki's move would be seriously injured if he was attacked. They specifically target the soul. Woo. Body shape flashed. Boom. And just when Sage of Six Paths' figure moved, Byakuya Kuchiki's attack came, directly blasting out a huge gap where Sage of Six Paths originally stood. See this scene. In the depths of Sage of Six Paths' heart, there was already a lot of consternation and shock. Too strong. This is just a random attack by a few captains, which makes him feel so tricky. I feel if they are serious. I was defeated a long time ago. Chapter 277. However, all this is far from over. Before Sage of Six Paths could react, Hitsugaya Tōshirō appeared beside Sage of Six Paths. Above the Zanpakuto in his hand, a shocking chill and water flow were released, huge ice crystals and red lotus dragons were formed. Two huge dragons appeared beside Hitsugaya Tōshirō. Birds and icicles. Immediately, a series of ice bombs attacked in the direction of Sage of Six Paths like swarms of birds. See this scene. Sage of Six Paths naturally didn't dare to underestimate the enemy, so at this time, he was taking advantage of the ice bullets to come, and even when he was constantly retreating towards the rear. And the captain's shots, although it took a long time to say, but in fact, it was only 1 or 2 breaths. Of course, as the captains continue to attack Sage of Six Paths, but one by one seems to be in the game, Sage of Six Paths can be said to be irresistible. So strong. Unimaginable. Feeling the terrible power displayed by the captains, whether it is Sengoku of the Buddha and others, or Namikaze Minato and others, they are all stunned. The reason is very simple. Because the captains of Gotei 13 showed that the moves they displayed were not any kind of ninjutsu they knew, but a brand new system they had never encountered before. With such a powerful combat power, they couldn't help being shocked. And this moment, Sage of Six Paths has retreated to the distance. His complexion looked a little dignified, his eyes scanned everyone in Gotei 13, frowning, as if thinking about something. Obviously, at this moment, Sage of Six Paths, he regretted it a bit. The strength of Gotei 13 is far beyond his imagination. Originally, he thought that as long as he appeared in Seireitei and appeared, no matter who he was, he had to admit that he had equal qualifications. At that time, what information he wanted to know was not just a matter of hand. But, he thought of Sage of Six Paths. Just a few captains of Gotei 13 took random shots, and he was forced into this situation. More importantly, Sage of Six Paths clearly knew that the captains who shot against him did not show their full strength. Shinigami of Seireitei, is it really so scary? Sage of Six Paths sighed in his heart. But, even so, at this moment, there was no trace of panic on his face. Because only he himself knew his current strength, which was not comparable to when 10 Tails was sealed before. My Sage of Six Paths, I am immortal. At this time, Sage of Six Paths gave a soft cry. Along with, his voice sounded. Read more at mtlarchive.com. All the ninjas around were shocked. Sage of Six Paths. It is rumored that the first person to unravel the true meaning of chakra, with the goal of maintaining peace, maintaining tranquility and order. The founder of Ninzong. It turned out to be him. At this moment, all the ninjas, their eyes flashed with a touch of surprise after another. Is he Sage of Six Paths? Didn't it mean that Sage of Six Paths is dead? Yeah, what's the matter now? Quote. Shadow and their entourage were puzzled deep in their hearts. Is it? At this time, Yamamoto Genryūsai said, in that case, let me see your strength. In fact, Yamamoto Genryūsai at this moment carries dissatisfaction on his old face. You little guys, have enough fun. Yamamoto Genryūsai said to the captains extremely sternly. You know, we have other things to do now, and the real opponent has appeared, not the guy in front of us. Whether it was Marine or the ninjas around, they were shocked after hearing this passage from Yamamoto Genryūsai. What's the situation now? On the other side of Sage of Six Paths, when he heard Yamamoto Genryūsai's words, he was a bit angry. Listening to Yamamoto Genryūsai's words, I must be defeated. What other real guys? What exactly does this mean? Isn't he, Otsutsuki Hagoromo, really so vulnerable, not worthy of being put in the eyes of this captain? If not, how could Yamamoto Genryūsai say such a thing? Well, you little guys have retired first, and then the old man will dominate the battlefield. Yamamoto Genryūsai said lightly. With that, the voice of the captain fell. Marine, still a member of the ninja world, has heard the words of Yamamoto Genryūsai, absolutely confident. Just simple self-confidence. It seems that this Sage of Six Paths is nothing. Immediately afterwards, what happened in the next moment was to let Marine and the ninjas verify the correctness of their ideas. Quote. It's not good, the old man takes the shot, these 6 things will undoubtedly be destroyed, and our game will be less. Quote. Hey, don't say a few words. Yes, if the captain knew about it, the penalty would be miserable. Quote. All the captains gathered their Zanpakuto back at this time, gathered together, and talked in a low voice. Sure enough, hearing the conversation between the captains, it was obvious that they had absolute confidence in the captain Yamamoto Genryūsai. Upon seeing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Namikaze Minato and others all secretly said in their hearts. But, even so, nowadays, they have involuntarily developed a great curiosity in their hearts. After all, it's hard for them to imagine that the seemingly old Captain Yamamoto Yuanian, Money Good Zhao, holds the country, what kind of strength he has to make the captains show such a high level of confidence. You know, he is the originator of all ninjas in the ninja world. Even if it's not Shinigami's opponent, it shouldn't be rubbish, right? But the Buddha Sengoku and other marines glanced at the ninjas and shook their heads. They knew that Yamamoto Genryūsai was absolutely confident. They have all seen the power seedlings of Yamamoto Genryūsai with their own eyes. 5 elders, I'm or something. In front of the power of Yamamoto Genryūsai, it was impossible to withstand a blow. Not to mention the existence of others. This sage of 6 paths or something, its status in the ninja world, would be equivalent to 5 elders, EMM. Then the ending, it seems to be doomed. It was simply destroyed by the captain of Gotei 13. Under the tyrannical power of Yamamoto Genryūsai, there is absolutely no second way. Chapter 278. Yamamoto Genryūsai's words made Sage of 6 Paths a little angry. Regarding his current strength, Sage of 6 Paths has been shaken, but he is in a state of immortality, but he is looked down upon by Yamamoto Genryūsai. How does this make Sage of 6 Paths not angry? It is precisely because of this, so. Next moment. Planetary devastation. Compared with the previous planetary devastation performed by Maelstrom Nagato in Konoha village, Sage of 6 Paths planetary devastation produces a more powerful effect than the former. As the deep words of Sage of 6 Paths fell, he didn't even make any movements, that is, he saw a huge pitch-black gravitational core that had already risen into the air. But only for a moment. A planetary devastation that is far larger than the planetary devastation condensed by the vortex Nagato is dozens of times larger, almost as if a huge meteorite that has completely enveloped the entire world, quietly appeared above Seireitei. Under that huge shadow, all the marines below, the hearts of all the ninjas were involuntarily surging up with waves of shocking waves. It's like a lamb facing a pack of wolves. Earthworms are like chickens. Their complexion didn't even change at all, but when they looked at the unexpectedly huge meteorite that appeared above the sky, a sense of powerlessness appeared in their hearts. Especially when they watched the huge meteorite that covered the sky and the sun, slowly falling downwards, they didn't even have a hint of evasive mentality in their hearts. After all, when a meteorite of this size fell, they even had no chance to escape. Do you want to destroy Seireitei? Just when the surrounding marines and ninjas were in a state of shock that could not be added. Yamamoto Genryūsai's calm and watery voice rang. Do you know why the old man has been the captain of Gotei 13 for so long? It's not because Gotei 13 was founded by the old man. Because the old man is strong enough. There is endless confidence in these words, and Yamamoto Genryūsai seems to be stating a well-known fact. Between his words that are as calm as water, contains the attitude of looking at the world. You know, since the establishment of Seireitei, in the 10,000 years, among all Shinigami, no one has ever been stronger than an old man. With that, Yamamoto Genryūsai's sentence fell. The strange shape in his hand suddenly turned to ashes. Immediately afterwards, everyone was surprised to see that an extremely ordinary Zanpakuto appeared in Yamamoto Genryūsai's hands. Everything in Vientiane is ashes, Ryūjin Jakka. Bake. Along with it, Yamamoto Genryūsai sang Jifangyu, and a flame was ignited above the ancient Zanpakuto that looked like a platform in his hand. At the same time, read more at mtlarchive.com. With that, the flame ignited. The heart-palpitating Reiatsu was swept away in all directions, and in the blink of an eye, some of the weaker marines and ninjas fainted directly on the spot. This is not the true power of Yamamoto Genryūsai Zanpakuto, it is just the effect of Reiatsu released from Zanpakuto. In a flash. With that, Ryūjin Jakka was liberated. One after another terrible heat waves surged up, directly causing the surrounding temperature to rise by dozens of degrees in an instant. At this time, the moisture in the air began to be directly evaporated by the high temperature. And at this moment, Yamamoto Genryūsai, his face did not change, he still had that indifferent face. Torch. He was holding Ryūjin Jakka in his hand and slashed directly towards the huge planetary devastation that was falling from the sky above the sky. As the Ryūjin Jakka in Yamamoto Genryūsai's hand was pulled out, it presented a tornado-shaped golden flame wall, whizzing towards the super-large meteorite above the sky at an incredible speed. Immediately afterwards, the planetary devastation displayed by Sage of 6 Paths was directly wrapped by the flames generated by Songming. Just the blink of an eye. Planetary devastation was directly evaporated, turned into a cloud of dust, and fell down. That's right. It's not cut off. Instead, just melted away. Until the end, even a larger remnant was not found, and it was completely turned into dust. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. See this scene. Sage of 6 Paths' heart trembled. The power of Yamamoto Genryūsai's move gave Sage of 6 Paths a deep shock. He never thought that Yamamoto Genryūsai would use this incredible method to destroy planetary devastation directly. How powerful is this person? Actually possesses such amazing skills. But, at this moment in Sage of 6 Paths, he has not much time to think about these issues. Because at the moment planetary devastation turned into dust, Yamamoto Genryūsai's figure was already coming towards him, and at this moment, he had already appeared in front of him. Bone. At this moment, Yamamoto Genryūsai, his hands are already clenched into fists, and between his fists there is an extremely terrifying power, directly erupting a terrifying powerful force, and in a flash, two waves are produced. Invisible shock wave. As for Zanpakuto, it was stuck on the ground. Shen Luo Tianzheng. Facing him, Yamamoto Genryūsai made two sudden punches. At the same time, an extremely majestic power swept in all directions from within the body of Sage of Six Paths. But the one who was still knocked down and flew out. Then, Yamamoto Genryūsai slammed out, and the sword light carried the terrible Reiatsu and slashed towards Sage of Six Paths. Sage of Six Paths, although it is a soul body. Immediately, Yamamoto Genryūsai's figure flashed, returned to the previous position, and pulled out the Ryūjin Jakka that was inserted into the ground. In an instant, the body of Ryūjin Jakka's knife flashed abruptly. However, Yamamoto Genryūsai was not discouraged. Laugh. Sage of Six Paths raised his hand without thinking. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at Hot MTL novel for free. Boom. The shock wave generated by Yamamoto Genryūsai's double bones was directly twisted to one side. In an instant, the effect of Sage of Six Paths Shenluo Tianzheng has disappeared. The shock wave generated by the double bones slammed into the distant buildings, directly blasting those buildings into ruins. Cut. Following this, the air around Sage of Six Paths' body was directly distorted. If you carefully observe it, you can find that a strange air wall has actually formed around Sage of Six Paths. Chapter 279. At this moment, Zanpakuto in Yamamoto Genryūsai's hands showed a golden flame, turning into a huge tornado that obscured the sky and the sun. It was heading towards Sage of Six Paths, and Sage of Six Paths and his power spread incomparably here. In front of the flame, it seemed that it could not withstand a single blow. The abilities displayed by Sage of Six Paths were evaporated one by one, and even the dust did not appear. The power gap has reached such a point. Seeing the huge gap in power between each other, Sage of Six Paths couldn't help but start to doubt life. This gap made him unacceptable. At the same time, the flame is now coming towards Sage of Six Paths, and what he has to do with Sage of Six Paths is to dodge, but he can't avoid it at all. This sky of flame swallows everything, and it also surrounds Sage in an instant, of Six Paths. In the unbelievable gazes of the ninjas, Sage of Six Paths was finally burned into nothingness powder by the flame, completely disappearing. Looking at this scene, the ninjas were shocked and completely unaware of themselves what to say. This is the Spirit Palace. Ding, congratulations on getting Onogi's 1 million shock points. Ding, congratulations on getting the 4th Reikage 1 million shock points. Open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. Sage of Six Paths status in the ninja world is naturally very important. He was easily destroyed by Yamamoto Genryūsai. Suddenly Chen Tian got a lot of shock points. Ding, congratulations on getting the reign of the Invisible Empire, Glenn Hassward. First, congratulations on getting the hunting force of the Invisible Empire. At this moment, in Chen Tian's palm, a lot of halo appeared. Chen Tian throws it in the direction of the Invisible Empire. Soul Society. I hope that the two of you will cooperate with Soul Society's actions in this world, and temporarily listen to Soul Society's dispatch. What do you think? Yamamoto Genryūsai has taken back Zanpakuto. For the sake of the pirate world and the Hokage world, Yamamoto Genryūsai said his true thoughts at this moment. Hear the words. The Buddha Sengoku and other important senior marines, the shadows of the shinobi world glanced at each other. Under the power of Yamamoto Genryūsai, where would they dare to resist? Now nod your head. Captain, I'm helping you. Now, even the noble Byakuya Kuchiki couldn't help but speak. He has always valued Soul Society's reputation, interests, and so on. Byakuya Kuchiki simply said a word, and Abarai Renji behind him said, "You know, the enemy that appeared this time is not easy. Even the deputy captain of the captain was also injured. You know, he is the band leader in Beijing. Before Captain Toshirō was born, he had learned Bankai. However, since the founding of Gotei 13, he has never performed in front of others. Everything is because of his loyalty. He once swore that as long as the captain is there, he will be the deputy captain for life. His ability, I think you can know if you think about it. This time, it was simply injured." After a pause, Abarai Renji continued. "This time the opponent, you think about it, it's up to you, how can it be an opponent?" The Buddha Sengoku waited silently. What can they say at the moment? Read more at mtlarchive.com. In this dark and turbulent era, of course they have to temporarily obey the dispatch of Soul Society. Right now, Sengoku of Buddha, etc., you can visit Soul Society. Naturally, Whitebeard and Ace led the way and took them to visit Soul Society. However, when half a day passed, Urahara Kazuki suddenly approached them and brought bad news. "This world, we are born." What? The Buddha Sengoku, Sarutobi Hiruzen, etc. all looked at Urahara Kazuki one by one. "It's pirate world," Urahara Kazuki said. "It has been attacked. Marines such as Sengoku of Buddha are in desperate battle. The current revolutionary army is precisely their goal." Revolutionary army. Hearing this news, Sengoku of Buddha was relieved. But Garp is not like that. He hasn't forgotten the leader of the revolutionary army, but his own son. He said. "Then Gotei 13, is it going to leave?" "No, Urahara Kazuki shook his head. At present, Gotei 13 also needs preparation. He looked at Kurosaki Ichigo and said, "It's up to you." Kurosaki Ichigo. He has no objection. He hasn't been to any pirate world yet, and he doesn't know what happened to the two sisters. And he also knows that the Spirit King is also watching here, so as long as you behave better, then Mom, then Inoue Orihime, Sato, etc., will come here if you want to. Find flowers. The Invisible Empire. What's happenin'? The shadow of Ukabak, staring at a thin figure at the moment. He is Yu Gelen. Now, Yu Gelen was holding Yibang's badge in his hand, and he was a little puzzled. There are signs of using it, but I didn't capture Shinigami's Bankai. Friends Habak was silent. After a while, he said, "Well, the other party is Kurosaki Ichigo. Of course, it takes extraordinary means to deal with him." Yu Gelen nodded. His position in the Invisible Empire is not small. A member of the Star Cross Knights. The Invisible Empire was code-named B. With long, supple golden hair, blue eyes, an elegant appearance, a shoulder pad on his left shoulder, a gentle talking, indifferent man, the leader of the Star-Crossed Knights and the assistant of the Invisible Empire, second only to the Invisible Empire Uhabak's second place. Called Jugo by Bartsby. Yes, the other party is Kurosaki Ichigo, which is also expected, but our performance in the first game is not good. It seems that the Spirit King is not satisfied. Yu Gelen said. It doesn't matter, the game has just begun. The game between us and Hueco Mundo, Soul Society, and the boring world has just begun. Now Uhabak continues, contacting the hunting unit that has just been obtained is weak in this world, but it is valuable. Ask them to pick up more idiots. Yu Gelen knew that there were too few people in the Invisible Empire. He nodded. Understood, Your Majesty. This is the pirate world. This is the headquarters of the Revolutionary Army. But at this moment, Sabo and others have been defeated. Dorag was also out of breath. Hey, don't you people still surrender? It is the special soldiers of the hunting force who are talking, and they can also be called holy soldiers. There are many special soldiers under the Invisible Empire, all of them are equipped with military caps and special masks with the Invisible Empire emblem. Although the average strength of the members is not as good as the Star-Crossed Knights. But the victory lies in the large number of people. The Revolutionary Army was completely defeated under such hunting forces. Even Dorag is not an opponent at all. Chuan. Chapter 280. At this moment, the Revolutionary Army has completely lost to the power of the Invisible Empire's hunting forces, and Dorag is unable to do anything. Originally, Dorag's power is naturally extremely powerful in the pirate world, but facing the hunting troops, it's just that. At the same time, Urahara Kazuki took Kurosaki Ichigo, in addition to Whitebeard, Firefist Ace, and Tiger, etc., also entered the pirate world. Urahara Kazuki naturally needs the power of Kurosaki Ichigo. As for bringing Whitebeard, the Firefist Ace people are nothing more than to familiarize them with Shinigami's work. Although they are not Shinigami yet, Shinigami's career is dangerous. Yes, it's not as simple as it seems, Urahara Kazuki needs to let them understand this. At this moment, a member of the hunting force has been sensitively looking in one direction. Hey, what's the matter with you? It's nothing, I always feel like there is something happening over there. Why, there is only the corpse of the World Revolutionary Army killed by us. You have too much heart. Perhaps it is. After a large stone, Urahara Kazuki smiled slightly. It looks like we didn't expose me. Whitebeard waited and just nodded. They didn't expect that they would return to this world one day, especially Firefist Ace. He missed Luffy a bit. At the same time, he also learned one thing, that is, the chief of staff of the Revolutionary Army is actually Sabo. This makes Ace Huaquan a little happy, he can't wait to find Sabo to talk to him. The other party is not easy at all, you better be careful. Urahara assisted in a reminder at this moment. The leader of this hunting force is Sergei Obi. At the moment Sergei Obi sat on a big seat. Hey, stand up for me. In front of Master Obi, you people, stand ready for me. There were soldiers from the Invisible Empire, and now they drank to the revolutionary soldiers in front of them. Give me silence, the next selection meeting will be held in the world, and the selected people will become soldiers of my hunting troop like sex. Obi's voice has a hint of arrogance, it seems to be his subordinate, what a delight. Now, I will start prickling from the right one by one. If you cherish your life and want to take refuge in us, then crawl under my feet like licking shoes. You can survive in the hands of my soldiers, which shows that you still have some potential. As long as you are transformed, you will become stronger. Please don't waste this great opportunity. In front of him is naturally Dorag and others. Faced with Obi's words of completely despising people, none of the Revolutionary Army was afraid. Lindbergh, commander of the Southern Army of the Revolutionary Army, shouted angrily, "Don't be kidding, your posture reminds me of the disgusting celestial dragons." Obi shot. I don't know when, a spear appeared in his hand. Too fast. With the Pen Kazaru's speed of light, faster speed, directly stabbed Lindbergh to death. In the Spirit Palace. Ding, congratulations on getting 100,000 shock points from Dorag. Ding, congratulations on getting Sabo 100,000 shock points. Chen Tian faintly looked at this scene that happened in Pirate World. Read more at mtlarchive.com. At this moment, the Invisible Empire has officially started its own plan. When speaking, be careful about what you can and what is not. Obi said coldly. Know that those who become hunting troops are strong, and hunting troops are not so easy to join. Only those who pass the selection can be tested. As Lindbergh's body fell, Dorag is angry. He lost. But he still has his whole cards, which have not been used yet. Although I don't know where you are. But you are too rampant. Dorag yelled. At this moment, one person stood up. The appearance of Dorag reminded Obi to think of Yhwach, but Obi snorted. How could this guy be comparable to your majesty? But the next moment, he couldn't help but, oh. He, also a member of the Knights of the Star Cross, is code-named J, which means jail prison, and is translated as Jiloji Op of prison. At this moment, he found that Dorag had taken out a sphere. This sphere looked normal, but when Dorag injected his power, suddenly, the entire space began to stir. The people of the hunting troop, watching this scene, also showed a strange color. When they invaded the headquarters of the Revolutionary Army, they already knew about this worldly way of fighting. But he didn't expect this Dorag to still hide a hand. This is Uranus, the king of heaven. If it is destroyed, it will be reborn in another location. Either it was started by people who really changed the world, or it was started by the lives of the previous generation who changed the world. Dorag had a pair of eyes, extremely tyrannical. 5 elders once used the life of celestial dragons to activate Uranus, the king of heaven. And he uses his own power. At this moment, Uranus, directly from the sphere, turned into a doe, covering Dorag's body, and then Dorag became like a giant. Urahara Kazuki, who secretly watched this scene, also nodded, curious about the king, who created it, making him the teacher of the Mao Academy of Spiritualism, and the deputy director of the Technology Development Bureau curious. Kurosaki Ichigo, Whitebeard and others watched this scene quietly, wanting to see what moves and strength Obi would show when he was fighting against Dorag. You are qualified to be my subordinate. Obi shrugged. But Dorag, who had turned into a giant, snorted directly and slammed his fist. At the same time, because of his own devil fruit ability, a violent wind suddenly rose. The wind, combined with this huge fist, caused terrible destructive power. Too ignorant of current affairs. Obi said coldly. Immediately, the power in his body also surged, directly rubbing against the air, and then there was a little breaking wind. Fei Lianzhao. This is the fast-moving skill of the Quincy. Lingxi gathered at the feet, and then moved to another location. Boom. Dorag's huge fist carrying the gust of wind did not hit Obi. Holy annihilation. Swish. Under the gaze of many eyes, Dorag's face was pale. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at Hot MTL novel for free. Asked Obi to temporarily suspend the attack on Dorag. And at this moment, suddenly, a light arrow of spiritual power went directly towards Dorag. 3 figures of Arankar appeared. Dorag gathered the strong wind and the power of the Heavenly King, and also punched it out. The terrible air wave, violently fluctuated. Suddenly collided. Next moment, however, the terrible destructive power caused by this punch also hit other soldiers of the hunting unit and completely destroyed them. Boom. The strength of Obi's Quincy utterly surpassed Dorag. Swish. Refining the Quincy cross pendant into a saber, making a knotted arc composed of spirits appear on the blade, and shooting multiple light arrows composed of spiritual power to attack the opponent. Actually inferior to Obi. Chapter 281. How are you? Obi looked at the 3 Arankars that appeared suddenly, and said in surprise. Master Tia is missing. We have been looking for it. I think you did it, said Apache with short blue-black Egyptian hair and a crimson eyeliner on his left eye. It's really boring. The dark green hair has long bangs, and there are 3 round moles of tears on the side of the face. Don't forget it, Apache. The tall and burly Mila Rhodes with long black curly hair heard Apache's words and immediately said without thinking, I will beat you. Hey. With that, Mila Rhodes's voice fell. Apache's throat seemed to be pinched, and he immediately turned to look at Rhodes and exclaimed angrily, Rhodes. I have tolerated you for a long time. He hit me. Who do you think you are? Do you think who are you talking to? You mother monkey. Who else will it be besides you? Don't annoy me, or else, be careful that I will actually do it to you, dead monkey. Rhodes retorted with an annoyed expression on his face. Quote. Immediately, Rhodes and Apache yelled at each other, and they were about to start fighting. 18 and here too, Sun on the side first shouted to Rhodes and Apache, you two don't quarrel. But the latter two were just like Sun's words, as if they were unheard of. Seeing this, Sun was not discouraged, a flash of light flashed in his eyes, and he smiled and said to Obi not far away, you have also seen. Mr. Captain, these 2 monkeys are arguing now. Don't make friends, now, only I can be your opponent. Amount. Obi was startled when he heard the words. Sun, what are you talking about? You bastard. In an instant, Apache and Rhodes immediately roared at Sun with an angry look. See this scene. Obi and Dorag were stunned. Especially for Dorag, he had never seen such a person, who would greet each other at the beginning of the battle, which was really out of his cognition. Of course, not just them. Urahara Kazuki, Kurosaki Ichigo, Whitebeard, Firefist Ace, and others who have been hiding in the dark, were shocked by what happened in front of them at this moment. What's the matter? At this time, Whitebeard asked Urahara Kazuki and others with a look of confusion and curiosity, who are the three of them? How do I feel that their Reiatsu is so strong, and their personality is still so? They should be the three beasts. Urahara Kazuki stared at Apache, Sunsun and Rhodes for a while, and replied in a low voice. Okay. Three what? Captain Urahara, what did you say? The Fire Fist, Tiger, Whitebeard and others in Pirate World were all startled and asked without thinking. The three sacred beasts are the three sacred beasts. Urahara Kazuki said. They are three servants belonging to Libel. They are powerful. Moreover, they are watching each other's lives like crippling beasts. It is absolutely crazy. Three people. Read more at mtlarchive.com. If they are there, I don't know which one is more important. I'm afraid, the three gods will win. Just when Urahara Kazuki introduced the three mythical beasts. There is already a fight over there. The three mythical beasts all came out. Abandon her, Bilu Daunu. Hang her, Bai Snake G. Bite her away, Golden Lion. It was fighting with the quintessential hunting forces. Snee. Apache sneezed abruptly. Immediately, her expression was furious, and she turned to look not far away. Rhodes, who was fighting with the Quincy, yelled. No, hey. Are you secretly talking about me again? Bad thing. Mila Rhodes. What? Rhodes, who was not far away, was stunned when he heard the words. After taking care of a few of the Quincy hunters, he looked at Apache with an angry look and said, Dead monkey, I didn't speak at all. Are your ears rotten? Hey, stop arguing between you two. Sunsun, who was constantly attacking the hunting troops, immediately yelled unwillingly when he heard the words. If it is, then let me go. I can solve it by myself. Although the three mythical beasts look a bit funny, their combat effectiveness is very powerful. Even Urahara Kazuki, Kurosaki Ichigo, and Whitebeard, who were observing in the dark, felt a trace of consternation. Especially Whitebeard, Fire Fist Ace and Tiger from Pirate World. What are they doing? Can you still fight? After Sunsun's persuasion, Apache and Rhodes went into battle again. The strength of the three of them all exploded, killing the hunting troops one by one. Team, Captain. At this time, people with many hunting troops ran in front of Obi, all of them panicked and said, their strength is really too strong. Exactly, Captain, let's withdraw. Yes, otherwise, I'm afraid we will be wiped out. Quote. Obi heard the words of his men. His complexion suddenly sank. Withdraw. In his dictionary, there is no such word. The occurrence of this scene really made the three beasts startled with Urahara Kazuki, Kurosaki Ichigo and others hiding in the dark. However, when the two sides found out that the other side was also laughing, they both gave a cold snort to each other. The Quincy cross pendant was refined into a saber, so that a knotted arc composed of spirits appeared on the blade, and a number of light arrows composed of spiritual power were fired to wipe out all those who persuaded him to retreat. As for Apache and Rhodes sneered. Also at this time. Your strength is very strong. This is very good. As long as you surrender, you will surely become your majesty's capable man. Obi said to the three gods with a sincere expression. Rest assured, as long as you surrender, I won't killing you, I will try my best to say something for you before your majesty. They looked at Obi in amazement. Puff, puff, puff. Especially the three beasts. Come on, surrender and join us. We surrender. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at Hot MTL novel for free. Hearing this, Sunsun laughed loudly. Just you, are you worthy of us to surrender? Immediately displayed the holy destruction arrow. Puff. I have a suggestion. Obi raised a hand to them, then stretched out a finger and slowly said, how about your surrender? Chapter 282. Our invisible empire welcomes like-minded people. As long as you surrender, you will be able to join your beloved Libel, loyal to your majesty. Obi tirelessly said to the three gods. Now, there is a future. For you, there will never be such a happy moment. With that, Obi's voice just fell. The three beasts not far away all looked uncomfortable as if they had eaten shit. Don't look down on people. Dead Tarsier. Rhodes and Apache yelled in unison. Don't underestimate us, okay. Your captain. Sunsun narrowed his eyes and said coldly. Say it. The three mythical beasts attacked the hunting troops without hesitation. Oh, did the talk collapse so soon? I'm good for you. Obi looked at the trio of beasts who were continuously slaughtering his own men, shook his head, and shrugged. It's really a shame. You didn't grasp such a happy moment, so don't blame me. Say it. Obi immediately displayed his blood suit. It directly injected the spirit child into his own blood vessels, which greatly increased the destructive power exerted by the body, and rushed to the three gods. The battle is on the verge. At the same time. The other side. Soul Society, Gotei 13 headquarters meeting room in Seireitei. Quinceessor appeared in Pirate World. Let's talk about it. What should we do? Yamamoto Genryūsai said to the captains on crutches. This time the travel disaster. I think we Gotei 13 should help Pirate World. Yes, after all, we just reached some agreement with the naval headquarters of Pirate World not long ago. If, at this time, we abandon it, I am afraid that in the future, our reputation will be very bad. Queenskiller, it's not that we haven't beaten it. I just don't know how they survived until now, and their strength has grown. We have no way of knowing this. Quote. The captains spoke one by one. At this moment, Kuretsuchi Mayuri of the 13th Squad said, "Now, what we need to be vigilant is that the Quincy and the others seem to have a way to pass through the Soul Mask, although they are now attacking the pirate world. However, we Seireitei, and even the Soul Society as a whole, cannot relax our vigilance. After all, the information currently available shows that the Quincy has the ability to seal Bankai, or in other words, make Bankai nothingness." Listen to what Kuretsuchi Mayuri said. The captains around them all thought. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Enough. As for Yamamoto Genryūsai, he frowned and said, "I will provide the information here. Now the old man wants to know, has the Quincy's lair been found?" Sorry, we still. Kuretsuchi Mayuri lowered his head slowly. If this is the case, there is no need to say more. Yamamoto Genryūsai said solemnly, "From now on, you captains must actively prepare for the battle. This is the pirate world. The battle between Obi and the three mythical beasts was already divided. Obi is powerful. Urahara Kazuki, Kurosaki Ichigo and others were a little surprised. None of them thought of it. Obi's offensive power was so powerful. Just when Obi was about to raise the sword to wipe out the three beasts, Urahara Kazuki and Kurosaki Ichigo and others appeared. Dorag saw Whitebeard, Firefist Ace and others, his face was amazed. Finally a pirate appeared. At this time, Dorag was actually a little confused. After all, for a long time, he can basically be regarded as the strongest existence in pirate world. However, the fight with Obi just now, he found that Obi's strength was not below him, but completely above him. Moreover, from the dialogue between Obi and the three divine beasts, Dorag knows even more that there is his majesty above Obi. Such a thing is beyond Dorag's cognition. Damn, Obi saw the figures of Urahara Kazuki, Kurosaki Ichigo, Whitebeard and others, and said in surprise, "The pirates, how come they got together with Shinigami? Whitebeard, Ace, are all dead people." Quote. This is Soul Society, outside the meeting room of Captain Seireitei. Yamada Hanadoro is constantly pacing. Calm down, what's the use of being anxious? Yamada Kiyonosuke said lazily. The captain's meeting will not end early because of the urgency. Just wait for the result quietly. You are right. Yamada Hanadoro turned to look at his elder brother. But, how can you tell me to be quiet on such a big thing? Quote. Sorry, Yamada Kiyoshisuke said, immediately afterwards. Yamada Hanadoro started to pace again. Before the captain meeting is over, I have something confusing and I want to ask you. At this time, Hiraizuru, who was leaning on the wall, looked around for a week, and then said sincerely, "Don't you find out, is the series of things too weird recently? Ninja and the pirate world have reached an alliance and even entered Haweko Mundo. Moreover, according to the intelligence team, it seems that the imaginary mass in Haweko Mundo has disappeared, and we also have Seireitei. A large number of Rukongai people are strangely missing. However, based on the facts, according to the report of the 12th Squad, I really can't see the suspicion. In fact, the first two are not important to us. What I care about is the disappearance of the people in Ghost Street. In the report of the 12th Division, they only regarded the people as ordinary people's disputes. The search was quickly stopped. However, the disappearance of the people on the Wandering Soul Street, however, did not stop. Good promise, I can't accept it, so I want to ask everyone while the captain meeting is not over, while our deputy captains are all around. Among us, which deputy captain has searched the local codes outside the 50th district?" Following this, Hiraizuru's words sounded. The deputy captains of Gotei 13 all around were lost in thought. Not long after, Deputy Captain Kira, what's the use of you asking? Yeah, Deputy Captain Kira, even if you have searched outside the 50th district, what is there? Many deputy captains believe that Hiraizuru's doubts are of no use. At this moment, Kusajishi Yakiru, who has short pink shoulder-length hair, black eyes, and a blush on his face, looks like a child, raised his hand. Our right bald head Madarame Makaku, and Yasagawa Yumashika went to District 64. Chapter 283. What about the report? Hiraizuru walked a few steps forward, and asked in front of Kusajishi Yakiru. It's the same as other teams' reports. Kusajishi Yakiru was taken aback, then raised a hand, put his finger on his lips and said, "The footprints of the people are all gathered in one place and then disappeared. The bald head and the small bow. They checked with confidence and found no false footprints. Therefore, the report submitted was the same as that of the 12th Squad. It was a public dispute. I am not asking this." Hiraizuru continued to ask. "What I want to know is the footprint in the report, what type?" Quote. Hearing this, Kusajishi Yakiru was startled at first, and then subconsciously said, "Bare footprints and straw sandals." With that, Kusajishi Yakiru's voice fell. The eyes of the clever deputy captains were immediately bright, all thinking in their minds, so that's it. There are actually the feet of people wearing straw sandals in the 64th district. Sure enough, Hiraizuru murmured to himself. Kira, What do you mean? Yamada Kiyonosuke turned his eyes to Kira-Izuru and asked. In fact, according to the published research on Wandering Soul Street, the standard of living of the people on Wandering Street is bounded by the 50th district. If it exceeds the 50th district, the living standard of the people will be greatly reduced. People with bare feet will gradually increase as the area code increases. Kira-Izuru squinted and began to speculate. Moreover, according to the statistics of the past 550 years, people outside the 59th district have no straw shoes. In other words, if there are traces of straw shoes in the 64th district, then Shinigami should have left it. Hearing Kira-Izuru's speculation, the various deputy captains around them all became solemn, and they all turned their eyes to Kira-Izuru. I think something is wrong. In the past, if something like this happened, then the Link C investigation team of the Technology Development Bureau would be there. Kira-Izuru continued. However, this time there is no Link C investigation team to go. Speaking of this, Kira-Izuru turned his gaze to Nirvana. Deputy Captain Nirvana, do you know what this is because of? Captain Nirvana, what is he hiding? I don't know. Suddenly, all the gazes of everyone present were on Nianmeng's body, and Nianmeng said without hesitation, Master Kuretsuchi Mayuri has not disclosed any information about this matter to me. If this is the case, I will report this matter to the captain. Kira-Izuru said. Whatever. Nianmeng said, and then she said in her heart, Kuretsuchi Mayuri-sama can't make mistakes. At the same time, the other side. This is the pirate world. Read more at mtlarchive.com. It's really strange that Shinigami is with the pirates. Obi at this time looked at Urahara Kazuki and Kurosaki Ichigo, Firefist Ace, Whitebeard and others in a low voice. But, Obi looked at Kurosaki Ichigo immediately and said, Kurosaki Ichigo. Your Majesty, there is your information in the information for all the team members. You have been listed as the special battle, that must be dealt with as the highest priority, force. Obi's voice fell. The next moment, Obi's body moved, holding the western sword transformed from the Quincy Cross, and rushing in the direction of Kurosaki Ichigo. What? See this scene. Kurosaki Ichigo was stunned. It's not Shunpo, it's not a ringing turn, it's not a full manifestation technique, it's flying curtain feet. Obi's speed was beyond the expectations of almost everyone present. But, even so, Kurosaki Ichigo did not panic. Forget that fear and look ahead. Go forward, don't stop, retreat will only age, and timidity will bring death. Scream, Zanjetsu. Kurosaki Ichigo sang quickly, Crescent Moon Sky Chong. In an instant, Reiatsu on Kurosaki Ichigo's Zanpakuto was directly a crescent-shaped blade. In the direction Obi rushed towards him, a light blue blade light was released. Seeing a light blue blade of light, attacking oneself, Obi again displayed the flying curtain feet, avoiding Kurosaki Ichigo's crescent attack. The soldiers of the hunting unit behind immediately relayed the news of Kurosaki Ichigo's appearance in the pirate world back to the Invisible Empire. The other side. The Invisible Empire. Your Majesty, there was news from the hunting troops just now that Kurosaki Ichigo, special combat power, has appeared in the pirate world. The person who received the call from the hunting unit immediately came to Yukabak and reported. Moreover, Urahara Kazuki of Gotei 13 is also present. At this moment, the commander Sergei Obi is fighting Kurosaki Ichigo. Hear the words. Yukabak smiled slightly. Okay, let's go. Your Majesty, where do you want to move? The soldier next to him said. Where? Yukabak said without hesitation. Does this still need to be asked? Go to Soul Society. It's okay to make trouble for a while. The Invisible Empire today is not completely complete, but I really want to know what the power of Yamamoto Uenyanyu is. Yes, Your Majesty. Yu Gelen nodded. If the situation is worsened by waiting for permission, the old man will not be able to bear that kind of responsibility. Yamamoto Genryūsai said in a low voice, if the Technology Development Bureau can report to the old man earlier and do if the corresponding measures are taken, perhaps, this time, such a thing will not happen. Captain Meeting Room. Kuretsuchi Mayuri on the side shook his head immediately and said, when the queer extinguisher Ishida Ryu invaded Seireitei, our Technical Development Bureau had already foreseen the situation and gave you a detailed report. Quote. And you think that I was unreasonably worried and did not adopt my suggestion. This is the fundamental reason that led to the existence of the Quincy. Captain, why don't you apply for permission? At present, his words can only be said to this point. The other side. But I dare not say anything about the Spirit King. Soul Society. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at Hot MTL novel for free. Yes, if the situation is urgent, the above should approve it. What? It's all because of you, Captain. 1,000 years ago, you couldn't kill that man, didn't you? That led to the continuation of this game. Do not. He dared to say that the captain is not. Many captains immediately spoke in amazement. The old man mobilized the members of the 12th Division, and without any permission, in order to correct the balance of soul, obliterated 28,000 people in the Ghost Street. At this time, Yamamoto Genryūsai lowered his head and said, Chapter 284. At this moment, Obi is already fighting Kurosaki Ichigo in the pirate world. No, isn't it? As he gradually suppressed Kurosaki Ichigo, this made Obi laugh arrogantly. I didn't expect you to be this way. But Kurosaki Ichigo did not give up either. Now Kurosaki Ichigo has aimed at Obi and said lightly. Is it true that the Quincy is? The weapons of the Quincy are only bows and arrows, right? Now, Kurosaki Ichigo's slash broke everything, and it collided with Obi's sacred arrow. Obi's sacred arrow was also slashed by Kurosaki Ichigo, and there was no way to do it. This time, it was completely split. That's right, it seems that I have a little bad thinking about me. You are not that strong, but you are not that weak. The aftermath of the impact just now moved towards the surroundings, and Dorag and others were also looking at this scene, and their eyes widened. Ding, congratulations on getting Obi 1,000,000 shock points. Ding, congratulations on getting 100,000 shock points from Dorag. Open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. However, in the brief encounter just now, Kurosaki Ichigo had the upper hand, and Obi's military cap was completely torn by the aftermath. Oh, noise is silver, silence is gold. Obi smiled coldly now, then he stretched out his hand and held his own blade. Don't think that people can defeat me so easily. Know that as your majesty one of the new crosses, I have a power that you can't imagine. Hearing these words, Kurosaki Ichigo's eyes were cold. You guy, who is your majesty referring to? Facing Kurosaki Ichigo's words, Obi shook his head. You don't need to know these, then I will let you see, the final form of the Quincy. When the voice fell, Obi stretched out his palm, with a layer of black gloves on top of the palm, in which was a weird star. Boom. The next moment, like Arrancar's home blade, there was a terrible breath that waved from Obi's body. Finally Obiter completely changed his appearance. At this moment, Oro is the same as it has evolved. It's completely changed. Let me tell you, his real name is Hiba, that is, Quincy and Eucharist. After the holy physique, the Quincy of Obi gathered his spiritual power on the gloves attached with the Quincy's emblem, forming a cone of psychic light with a round and short cross at the top to surround the caster. After the light cone shattered, the caster's head appeared with an aperture marked by a Quincy, the irises of the eyes became multiple circles, and the body was covered with wings, shoulder straps, wristbands, and short boots composed of spiritual power. The Chiruji weapon in this state is a saber that merges with oneself. The tip of the knife can greatly increase its attack power by absorbing the surrounding spirits, and it can also move in a short distance in a sprint flight. Launch. Sclaver. Chen Tian in the Spirit Palace, watching this scene. Ding, congratulations on getting Kurosaki Ichigo 100,000 shock points. Ding, congratulations on getting Urahara Kazuki 100,000 horror points. Open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. No doubt, Obi's form at the moment shocked many people. It was shocking and moving. But at this moment, compared to the battle on Kurosaki Ichigo's side, Soul Society's side. Chen Tian's gaze turned to the direction of Soul Society. He knows, Yamamoto Genryūsai, and Yohabik will soon make a move. Chen Tian knows that at that time, he is afraid that he is going to make a move, right? Soul Society. The ominous atmosphere began to envelope the entire Soul Society. Calling every Shinigami, I couldn't help but feel a little uneasy. This is the feeling Shinigami has never felt before. Right now, read more at mtlarchive.com. Among Seireitei, Shinigami is gathering. And in the midair of Seireitei, there was a figure suspended there. On Seireitei's side, a big event is about to happen. Now, pirate world, all creatures are shaking. There was a force that produced a terrible pulsation. It seems that everything is moving. Do you feel it? Obi said indifferently at the moment, the pulse of our power. Huh, the body moved. The next moment, he appeared behind Kurosaki Ichigo. What? Fast. Too fast. Kurosaki Ichigo turned back hard. This is the power of the judge who is about to punish you. In the corner of pirate world. What kind of power is this, Mr. Urahara Kazuki? Ace waited and looked at Urahara Kazuki in amazement. Find flowers. Remember, this is not Shikai, Bankai, nor is it a homecoming. Urahara Kazuki's complexion also became extremely solemn and said, this is a kind of ability that the Quincy has only to gather the spirits around to fight, and this is the final form of the Quincy. After a pause, he said, unfortunately, this power is also the swan song of the Quincy. Those who master this power will lose the ability of the Quincy because of the loss of strength. Ace, Whitebeard waited a moment, and secretly said, isn't this a good thing? But at this moment, Urahara Kazuki said, but is this guy's power really like this? I can't guarantee it. Huh. At this moment, Obi attacked Kurosaki Ichigo. Attack like a juggling. Know your heart, and let me assert it. The Quincy form that you Shinigami know about is out of date. Huh. A terrible attack has come. Kurosaki Ichigo, under such power, it seems that he can only resist. Why, can you only defend now? You have become sluggish. Right now, Obi snorted. Don't be kidding. Kurosaki Ichigo yelled. The crescent moon goes against the sky. Terrible slash. With the power to split everything, he headed forward. It seems that there is nothing that can stop all of this power. Looking at such a slash, Dorag now immediately shouted. In front of such a power, he can definitely defeat the opponent. But, no, did not hit each other. Why can't you hit it right? Obi stood there and said, of course, even if you aim it, it's useless. Next moment, the weird wings stretched out. From your eyes, I can see that you think my costume is a bad habit. It's not as gorgeous as the Arankar of Haweko Mundo, right? Obi said coldly at the moment. Of course. Kurosaki Ichigo nodded. How can our sacred posture be understood by your Shinigami? Right now, he also drew his own knife. Boom. Suddenly, all the surrounding matter began to gather. Come on, you can feel it yourself, our complete Eucharist, the power of God's righteousness. Chuan. Chapter 285. Bring it on. Let you feel the power of the Eucharist's justice of God, after the fog lights. At this moment, Obi said with a smile on his face. Immediately afterwards, I saw that Obi gathered the spiritual power on the gloves attached with the emblem of the Quincy. Just for an instant, a cone of psionic light with a circular top and a short cross superimposed to surround the operator. As the cone of light shattered, above Obi's head, the appearance of rain and fog represented the aperture of the Quincy's mark. The iris in his eyes turned into multiple circles, and his body was covered with wings, shoulder straps, wrist guards and short boots composed of spiritual power. Immediately, Obi directly merged with the saber weapon. At this time, the tip of the knife was constantly absorbing the aura around him, causing the pressure and aura from Obi's body to rise suddenly. This scene, falling into the eyes of those around you. Surprisingly, it made them a little bit astonished, and even more astonished. Especially Dorag, Whitebeard, Firefist Ace and others in Pirate World. You know, Obi at this moment, he is a kind of spiritual suppression to the people of Pirate World. For Dorage, who had just fought with Obi not long ago, his face was even more decadent at this moment. After all, in the past, Dorag was a top presence in the pirate world, but at this time Obi showed strength, but it made Dorag feel terrified. Seeing Obi's change, Kurosaki Ichigo was also involuntarily stunned. Holding Zanpakuto in his hand, he looked at Obi in a daze, seemingly at a loss. But, it is at this time. Boom. The left arms of Apache, Mira Rhodes, and Sunsun merged together. Suddenly, the scene shined brightly. A humanoid monster with antlers, deer feet, long black curly hair and a white snake tail appeared in everyone's eyes. This monster is. At this moment, Obi stared at the humanoid monster that appeared abruptly, his face looked a little dignified. I thought we had no combat power, so careless. Mila Rhodes stood up and said to Obi with a smile on his face. I seem to have said, please don't underestimate us. Sunsun also said indifferently from this side. Let that arrogant spectacled monkey see your power. As for Apache, he roared, Yaong. Yueng, who was summoned by the three beasts of Apache, Mira Rhodes, and Sunsun, looked down at the three of Apache, Mira Rhodes, and Sunsun. What are you looking at? Yaong. Rhodes looked at astonished Wang suspiciously. Read more at mtlarchive.com. It seems to be worried about us. Sunsun thought for a moment, and said with some uncertainty. Quote. Apache looked a little helpless, and said to Yueng, don't worry about us, come on, Yaong. With that, the words of Apache, Mila Rhodes, and Sunsun three mythical beasts fell. Roar. Yueng roared. In an instant, the scene was enveloped by a strong coercion. The momentum given by Yueng suppressed people, and the many hunting troops around them were all frightened. In their eyes, Yueng is a monster from ancient times. It is the existence that can give them a fatal blow. Mindful of this, the soldiers of many hunting troops looked at each other, and they all saw the color of horror in each other's eyes. Immediately afterwards, they unexpectedly retreated several steps toward the rear. In the palace of the Spirit King. Ding, congratulations on getting 100,000 shock points for Obi. Ding, congratulations on getting Kurosaki Ichigo 100,000 shock points. Open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. The appearance of Yueng made Chen Tian a lot of shock points at once. The battle continues. At this time, Yaoang's hands were constantly bombarding the ground, causing the ground to tremble violently. Yan, are the three of us monsters made with our left arms? At this moment, Apache smiled and said, it is so powerful, but it doesn't discriminate against me. Apache pointed to Urahara Kazuki, Kurosaki Ichigo and others and said, this time the enemy is not you. If you don't want to die, don't worry about it and run away. Shinigami. Immediately. With that, Apache fell. Yueng suddenly moved. Woo, it hits Obi's direction at an incredible speed. Huh, you are too underestimating me, right? At this moment, Obi did not choose to retreat. He who has displayed the God's justice, felt that even Yan Wang could not be his opponent. My generation will the Eucharist be defeated by a monster like you. Talk about it. Obi immediately displayed his flying scythe feet, and through the Link C bundle, gathered the Link C in the atmosphere to his feet, and rushed up in the direction of Yan Wang. However, Ms. Shino, actually, there is a problem that I haven't quite understood. Yuki Ryunosuke said slowly. The other side. Following that, this rebuke sounded. At the same time, no. It's not. Shino's words came to Shingmu Ryunosuke's ears word by word, and she whispered. Miss Shino, I know what you said, but. Yukiki Ryunosuke said solemnly, after all, why should Shinigami be opposed to Quincy? Everyone. They all fought to defeat the void. In fact, we are the same, but why did they achieve such a goal? What's the problem? What? Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at Hot MTL novel for free. I know, It's not because you said it's convenient to go. Shino, who ran ahead, turned his eyes and said indignantly when he heard the words of Ryūnosuke Yukiki. Inside Soul Society. Hearing this, Shino was stunned. Then, he turned around and walked to the front of Ryūnosuke Yukiki, and said angrily, "Why do you say that?" Of course it is because Seireitei and Quincy have a conflict of interest, and, is it possible? Don't you know that it's because of the constant provocations of the Quincy that we, Seireitei, want to act on them? Why do we have to fight the Quincy? Isn't it? Zeno said indignantly. I've been told, Miss Shino. While running, Yuki Ryūnosuke opened his mouth in some embarrassment. Idiot, are you here on standby? An angry shout came from not far away. Hurry up and go to the 6 seats in Kechangwan. Yes, the 13th team, Ryuki Ryūnosuke and Shino, responded in unison, and immediately ran away, heading in the direction of Kusarimaru. Chapter 286. Words of Yukiki Ryūnosuke. It was surprising that Shino was plunged into contemplation. She didn't know how to answer the words of Yuki Ryūnosuke. Do not. It should be said that Shino doesn't know what this is because of. But, it is at this time. I heard, Spiritual Arts Academy. A voice full of magnetism came from not far away. The two of Yuki Ryūnosuke and Shino immediately followed the reputation, and the voice continued to sound. Recently, that part of the course has been deleted. It seems to be true. Yes, there are 6 seats in Kechangmaru. Shino and Shingmu Ryūnosuke said hello immediately. The person who made that sound was no one else, but Haicha Kajomaru. I'm so sorry. The battle ration is late. At this time, Shino bowed to Kasagi Maru Haicha. No. It's okay. But Shiro Maru Haicha looked embarrassed when he saw it, and said, now, isn't it time for the battle to happen? And, even the alarm didn't sound. Actually, it's okay for us to talk about your topic just now, it just happens to be boring. You know, Shinigami and Quincy are fundamentally different. The biggest difference lies in the defeat of the 18th alchemist. We, Shinigami, purify the virtual and send it to the Soul Society, but the Quincy erasing the virtual completely and eradicating the soul of the virtual. Listening to the words of Kajo Maru Hideo, both Shino and Yuki Ryūnosuke opened a new door. After all, they had never heard of what Kajomaru Haicha said. However, they believe that Kashimaru Haicha will not deceive them. This should be true. We Shinigami have always been counterbalancers. Do you know that? Kasamaru Haicha continued. Okay, no. Hearing that, Shingmu Ryūnosuke and Shino responded without thinking. This title shows that the essence of Shinigami's work is to maintain the balance between the Soul Society and the world. The two are separated by the boundary line, and there is no contact between the two. Otherwise, the two worlds the balance will be lost, and if it is out of balance, then the two worlds will collapse together. Read more at mtlarchive.com. The Soul Society sends souls to the present world in the form of creatures, and all the dead souls will be guided back to the Soul Society. Only in this way can we control the total amount of souls and maintain a balance with the present world. This is us Shinigami's mission. However, the existence of Quincy destroys this balance. Quincy, their self-proclaimed mission is to completely obliterate virtual souls. That is to say, the soul that has gone to this world will disappear because of the slaughter of the Quincy, and can no longer return to the Soul Society. Therefore, the soul that should be in a balanced state is increasing in this world. If we leave it alone, then, one day, the balance of soul will be completely broken. At that time, Soul Society will fall into the world, and then, whether it is Soul Society or the world, it will all disintegrate at that moment. Kajomaru Haicha's words let Yuki Ryūnosuke and Shino fall into shock. They both looked at Kajomaru Haicha with amazed eyes. In order to prevent such a thing from happening, Soul Society has negotiated with Quincy on many occasions, but Quincy on many occasions did not give face, and took Soul Society's proposal as deaf ears. But Shiro Maru Haicha continued. However, even so, negotiations are still going on. Occasionally, Soul Society and Quincy will have a series of conflicts. During the negotiation process, the Quincy never made any concessions from beginning to end, making the world infinitely close to collapse and disintegration. As a last resort, after some argument, 200 years ago, finally decided to carry out annihilation operations against the Quincy division. We, Shinigami and Quincy, are different from each other. The fate and grievances of annihilation are impossible to resolve. There is no other way except war between Shinigami and Quincy. Quote. If I say that, do you understand? Yoshiki Ryūnosuke team member. After hearing this long passage of Kasuma Maru Hideto, Yuki Ryūnosuke was plunged into contemplation. After a long time, she just asked, can I ask you a question? Can Shiro Maru 6 seats? Just ask. In this battle, is Shinigami the righteous party? Shingmu Longzi said astonishingly. If only one side is righteous, then it should be a defense or a conquest. However, you must know that this is war. But Shiomaru Hideza solemnly said, the so-called war, there is no truly just side, or it can be said that only both sides think that they are the righteous side will cause a war. This is the pirate world. The battle between Obi and Yuang continues. Yang's sturdy and tall body constantly attacked Obi with punches, which made Obi look a little embarrassed at this time. Although Yuang doesn't have moves like Shu, but even so, its attacks are extremely powerful and should not be underestimated. After a short period of fighting, Yuang left a lot of scars on Obi's body. Roar. At this time, Yuang shot out again with a punch. Obi blew out abruptly. It's so heavy, it's a bit past. Obi stood up from the ground, speaking solemnly. Oh, is this a heavy hand? Hearing that, Apache, who had been standing not far away watching Yan Wang attacking Obi, said with a smile on his face. However, you, the dead Tarsier, are really fighting, and you have suffered so many punches from Yeong. It can still maintain this appearance. So, there is no mention in the report that there will be such a strong power. Obi wiped the blood stains on the corner of his mouth, and continued, I must advise your majesty to adjust the strength of the blood suit. Otherwise, you will suffer in the future. But, before that, you all have to die. Obi's words just sounded. It was to make everyone present stunned. Especially the three beasts of Apache, Mira Rhodes, and Sun. At this time, they frowned at the self-confident and disdainful Obi. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. As for the Kurosaki Ichigo, Urahara Kazuki, Whitebeard, Fire Fist Ace and others on the side, they clearly discovered that Obi at this moment seems to have become stronger, and the words are full of thick the meaning of killing. Chapter 287. The first one to die is you, an extremely ugly monster. At this time, Obi, who was covered with wings, shoulder straps, wristbands and short boots composed of spiritual power, slowly walked in the direction of Yan Wang. Dead Tarsier, you are going the other way. Apache shouted. It should be said that it is alive. Roar. At this moment, Yuang called out, took the steps that the six relatives did not recognize, and quickly rushed towards Obi. Yeong. Wait a minute. Don't go there. Yeong. Come back soon. Apache, Mila Rhodes, and Sun three mythical beasts suddenly shouted loudly when they saw this. It's too late. Sheng Li. At this time, Yuang was transformed into countless souls, and they continued to condense toward Obi's body. Just for a moment, all the flesh and blood on Yang's body disappeared completely under the gaze of everyone's suspicion. The occurrence of this scene shocked everyone present. The faces of Urahara Kazuki, Whitebeard, Fire Fist Ace and others who watched the game from a distance showed a touch of astonishment. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. The three beasts of Apache, Mila Rhodes, and Sun were even more shocked. After absorbing Yang's body, Obi at this moment showed 2 rows of rugged rectangular teeth on his mouth, huge eyes appeared on the lynxy wings on his back, his left arm became unusually sturdy, and a white line appeared behind his back. Python. The whole person looks extremely ugly. This is the ultimate use of Quincy's basic abilities, the ability of the lynxy cluster, to reach the realm of absolute subordination of the lynxy. If there was a choice, I didn't want to use it. Obi slowly walked towards the three beasts of Apache, Mira Rhodes, and Sun, because in this case, the sacred wings will be contaminated by evil. Talk about it. The speed of Obi's advance suddenly accelerated. At an unbelievable speed, it gallops in the direction of Apache, Mira Rhodes, and Sun three mythical beasts. See it. Apache, Mira Rhodes, and Sun three mythical beasts first handed over to Obi. When I found out that I was not Obi's opponent. Snake Shell Village. Sun immediately performed this trick without thinking. Immediately, the three beasts of Apache, Mira Rhodes, and Sun disappeared without a trace and hid. Hee, is this hiding? Seeing the disappearance of Apache, Mira Rhodes, and Sun three mythical beasts in front of him, Obi said coldly, it's really a beast, and it has an instinctive response to danger. Of course, the three monsters that disappeared with Apache, Mila Rhodes, and Sun, as well as Whitebeard and Fire Fist Ace. Read more at mtlarchive.com. At this time, Whitebeard looked around for a while, and then said to the three mythical beasts, you are here, it doesn't mean that you are absolutely safe. By the way, I have never had the opportunity to ask you who are you? Rhodes asked. However, at this time, Sun on the side opened his mouth and said, Mila Rhodes will talk about it later, as we nowadays, let's first think about how to live. In short, that ability is too terrible, you know, Hueco Mundo, and Soul Society are all built with spirits as the framework, including your and my bodies. That ability can be released at will, and it can completely absorb the endless souls. Faced with such an opponent, I think we have no chance of winning. This is Snake Shell Village, is assisted by optics, isolated by Reiatsu, and conceal the enemy's exploration ability. Now we will hide like this, and then slowly move to the group of Shinigami. With that, Sun's voice fell. The next moment. Incisive. It's just a pity that you overlooked the difference in strength. A chuckle sounded. Don't think too much. This voice is naturally Obi's voice. Hear this voice. Apache, Mila Rhodes, and Sun were all stunned. Above the expression, there appeared a touch of intense horror and dying. Flying feet. At this moment, Obi gathered the spirits in the atmosphere under his feet through the cluster of spirits, and controlled the spirits under his feet to move his body to the front of the three gods in an instant. He smiled cruelly and said, Woo-ha-ha-ha-ha-ha. Actually, whenever I see a struggle like yours, I will realize again that the death of the weak is so unbearable. Go to hell. Talk about it. Obi raised the saber that had been merged with himself, and slashed in the direction of the three beasts. However, it is at this time. Crescent Moon Sky Chong. Kurosaki Ichigo, turning Reiatsu on Zanpakuto into a crescent-shaped blade, flew out of the blade and attacked Obi's back. Boom. Upon seeing this, Obi's figure dodged, avoiding Crescent Moon's attack. However, even so, Kurosaki Ichigo's crescent sky blasted fiercely to the ground in the distance, and there was a deafening sound. Quote. Bankai. At this time, Obi, he looked at Kurosaki Ichigo solemnly. As long as the disc can be destroyed. Kurosaki Ichigo held Zanpakuto and said faintly, you don't need the absolute subordination of Reiko anymore. How easy as you think. Hearing this, Obi squinted at Kurosaki Ichigo, who was not far in front of him. You are really a difficult opponent. At the same time, the other side. I remember the last time the Quincy attacked, the most damage was at the Black Ling Gate, right? Shingmu Ryunosuke asked with a panic expression on his face. A low-pitched voice sounded. Although, what you said makes sense. Oh, is it so? The figure inside the soul mask said faintly, war is really painful. That is when the words of Kashimaru Haicha just fell. Calm down everyone. Don't panic. No, look carefully. You are wrong, he should be within the soul mask. Inside Seireitei. That's right, Nuo's Zhao. In other words, if the Quincy wants to attack, he can only come in through the door, and the main Quincy guys appear nearby, and the fourth gate should send the news. Kashiro Maru Haicha nodded and replied. You don't need to be so nervous. Keiho Maru Haicha said, looking at Shingmu Ryunosuke with an anxious expression on his face. Queenskiller. When did he appear here? At this time, many Shinigami came to Kashimaru Hideki, Yuki Ryunosuke, and Shino, and waited. Why is he in the air? He is still outside the soul mask. Don't worry, everyone, he poses no threat to this place. However, everyone followed the prestige. Hear the words. Chapter 288. It was not someone else who came to Soul Society, but the friend of Habak. At this moment, his terrifying aura has gradually moved towards every corner of Soul Society. With such a breath, Shinigami, who is called Seireitei, felt that his soul seemed to be trembling. What? My god, what a terrible feeling this is. It's too scary. The closest to the place where the friend Habakar appeared is the 6th Division Team House. The Shinigami in this class are all shocked. There is a direct line. They were all in a mess, and Byakuya Kuchiki also stood up from his seat. Even Abarai Renji, who has always been brave, couldn't help but take a breath at this moment. He felt the breath, his pupils couldn't help staring, and the big eyes couldn't help showing panic. What kind of power is this? The power of Uhabak is now present in the entire Soul Society, not just Seireitei, but the existence in Rukongai is also trembling. Now in all corners, every creature is pale and the earth is shaking. How can there be such a terrifying spiritual power, so strong that heaven and earth tremble? This is our enemy, this is too scary. Shinigami of other teams is also watching this great change seriously at this moment. Jashiro Yukitaki is not in the squad. Now Kuchiki Rukia has screamed. She has become the deputy captain because of the outstanding performance of Pirate World. Now Rukia Kuchiki shouts. Everyone, Seireitei is facing a severe challenge. Don't be afraid, let's go. Yamamoto Genryūsai from the first team also looked at this terrible change with a solemn expression. Yamamoto Genyanagi-sama, let the old folks go. It was Sasaki who spoke now, as well as other subordinates. But Yamamoto Genryūsai refused them. This guy who came here is not an ordinary existence. To be honest, you can't help, just stay here. In the Spirit Palace, Chen Tian is also watching this change. Compared to the battle in Pirate World, there is no doubt that the battle that Soul Society is about to break out will be even more terrifying. It will also allow Chen Tian to get more shocking points, not to say, because of this battle, Wangquan will be opened directly. And the original 1000 Years of Blood War chapter, finally appeared a different place. This time, my friend Habak, wanted to show it for himself, and decided to play Soul Society alone. This is interesting. In the original book, Yohabak defeated Yamamoto Genryūsai, which many people do not recognize. This time with a single swipe. Can he still do it? At this moment, it was not the 6th Division team that rushed to Yohabak recently, but the 3rd Division team responsible for patrolling. Today's leader is Kira Izuru. At this moment, he is facing the Shinigami teammates behind him, and screams, this guy in front, everyone, come on. I see, go ahead. On. They waved Zanpakuto. But. I didn't even see Yucharbok's shot at all. However, one after another Shinigami has been destroyed. Kira Izuru was also penetrated. They stared. Too fast. Ding, congratulations on getting Kira Izuru 100,000 shock points. Ding, congratulations on getting. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chen Tian stretched out his palm. At this moment, there are a few light balls on his palm. It is Kira Izuru and others. During the game, the loser will stay here for the time being. How to say, it can be regarded as one of his subordinates. Deputy Captain Kira. The members of the 3rd Division screamed in horror. But as Shinigami, they gave up their lives. Willing to die for Seireitei. Blow, the tiger flute. Quite it, Pian Yin. Roll up, Chunchin. However, even though the Shinigami of the 3rd Division followed Shikai, they still fell. They just saw the back of Yohabak, and they don't know how Yohabak did it. One by one fell down. This is the Technology Development Bureau. No, the enemy is too strong. Now, the personnel in the Technology Development Bureau probed what was down at this moment, and said, in an instant, the third team was resolved. This is just a momentary thing. The opponent may. The 3 seats of the Technology Development Bureau didn't want to say this sentence, but at this moment, they had to say, the other party may be better than the captain. The other members of the Technology Development Bureau were even more shocked when they heard this sentence. This kind of thing. How could this kind of thing? Huh. Friends Habak, who was standing in the air, snorted. One after another, the rays of light rushed out. Rushed to different directions. At this moment, these lights came in front of several captains who were still in different positions. For example, one of the lights came to Komamura Sajan the fastest. He is the captain of the 7th Division. I look down on people too much. Komamura Sajan's eyes condensed. Then, other lights came to Jashiro Yukitaki, Shattered B, Hiroaku Shunsui, Hitsugaya Toshirō, etc. Byakuya Kuchiki avoided the impact of the light in front of him at this moment. But after the ray of light broke through the building with a thud, it did not disappear. Want to bloodbath Soul Society as an absolute enemy. Byakuya Kuchiki's eyes were cold, and he said lightly, it must be completely removed. Byakuya Kuchiki is not bad. His team members were still behind him, and now, Abarai Renji waited one by one to move towards the light, but... No, Captain. Abarai Renji noticed something, and his tone sank at this moment. Our Zanpakuto cannot cause any harm to this light. Byakuya Kuchiki frowned slightly. Can't cause harm. Impossible. Byakuya Kuchiki never thought of such a thing. This is just one of the rays of light scattered in the distance. A ray of light is so strong. So how strong is the quincy that releases this light? For a while, Byakuya Kuchiki couldn't think about it. The existence of the captain several times, also explained to their deputy captain and team members. Now, Abarai Renji is stunned. Can't use Bankai. However, the opponent is so powerful that he doesn't need Bankai, so he is not qualified to fight against it, right? Seireitei. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at Hot MTL Novel for free. Thought of this. Other corners of Seireitei. This information was originally known to the captain. For example, Komamura Sajan. Therefore, we must figure out how to deal with it and find out how to crack it. That is the key to winning this battle. He frowned slightly and said, this time the quincy is really different from the one in the historical records. For another example, Hitsugaya Toshirō said to Matsumoto Rangaku at the moment, this battle is very difficult. Once my Bankai is suddenly sealed, then, let's take action together and win in chaos. Next moment. At this moment, it's not just Byakuya Kuchiki saying this to his team members. What? Faced with the power that each one has to deal with, comes from the body of Friends of Habak. Different positions. Bankai, Captain Shinigami, at the same time now. At present, our knowledge of this group of Quincy killers seems to be too superficial. What we know so far is that they seem to have the ability to seal Bankai. Chapter 289. At this moment, facing the light scattered from the body of Friends Habak. Several captains of Gotei 13 showed Bankai one by one. In the next moment, the light scattered from Ukabak's body formed a star pattern. Brush and brush. At this moment, several Gotei 13 captains from Bankai were shown, and his eyes widened suddenly. This is not a seal, but has been taken away. Facing the power of this light, Byakuya Kuchiki and others at this moment were not, but their eyes widened. What kind of joke is this? Captain Shinigami, who had just shown Bankai in different positions in Seireitei, was taken away, now his eyes widened one by one. Shinigami's Bankai was taken away, and this kind of outrageous thing will happen. I can't feel it at all. For example, Hitsugaya Toshirō now has a rare anxious expression on his face. He looks at Zanpakuto in his hand. Respond. You should respond to me. Hyōrinmaru. Captain. Matsumoto Rangaku has never seen such anxious Hitsugaya Toshirō. What are you doing? Matsumoto, hurry up and tell all the captains that Bankai must not be used, or they will be taken away. Matsumoto Rangaku regained his senses, and immediately displayed the Heavenly Palace Kora. There are many versions of this name, referring to Shinigami who was sent to other places. Some local Shinigami captains who did not display Bankai couldn't help but stare at their eyes. At this moment, Hiroko Shinji, who has continued to become Shinigami captain from Bizard, couldn't help but stare. Now facing the light in front of him, he took dodge measures. What the hell is going on with those Shinigami captains? Are they idiots? Actually displayed Bankai. Even Unohana Retsu in another place now has a calm face. Although it was the 10th squad that was notified, but the 2nd squad, the 6th squad and the 7th squad, their Bankai power disappeared at the same time. Unohana Retsu can still feel this. Just now, their Bankai's power appeared, but in an instant, they disappeared. The one who is most angry is Kuretsuchi Mayuri, who is now rushed out of the Technical Development Bureau. What are they doing? Why don't you wait for my analysis to finish, these idiots? Bankai of several captains has now been taken away. It can be said that the situation at this moment is completely at a disadvantage for Seireitei. Chen Tian in the Spirit Palace now looked at this scene and nodded slightly. To be honest, Shinigami's worldview was originally normal, but after the Millennium Blood War, some unreasonable places appeared, such as now it can actually take away the power of Shinigami's Bankai. This ability can actually cause the world view to malfunction. Of course, at the same time, Chen Tian also got a lot of shock points. But with the current shocking point, it is still somewhat impossible for Huang Quan to appear. Of course, what Chen Tian has to do now is to keep watching. At last, Chen Tian saw it. Yamamoto Genryūsai moved. The captain finally came out. But everyone knows that this battle is difficult. The other party is just one person. The power scattered from him is like alive, so difficult to deal with. Even Kyoraku Shunsui, after avoiding the impact of the light in front of him, could not help but mutter, "It seems that this battle requires sacrifice." Everything was as expected by Kyoraku Shunsui. The light in front of Byakuya Kuchiki's eyes continued to impact. Byakuya Kuchiki dodged hard. Damn it. Abarai Renji died of anger. I didn't even see the enemy's face. Being tortured like this by this light. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Stop. Knowing what Abarai Renji wanted to do, Byakuya Kuchiki yelled directly. Don't. Byakuya Kuchiki said, otherwise, even your Bankai will be taken away. But Captain, without Bankai, Abarai Renji couldn't help but exclaimed in a hurry, how do we fight this enemy like this? ... In the Technology Development Bureau, Kuretsuchi Mayuri gritted his teeth. Thinking of something, he said, contact Kurosaki Ichigo and Aizen. What? The members of the Technical Development Bureau were shocked when they heard this sentence. Hurry up, I will be responsible for this matter. At this point, Kuretsuchi Mayuri knows that he can only do this. Kuretsuchi Mayuri also said, if the signal is not good, contact Urahara Kazuki next to Kurosaki Ichigo, or Tusen Kanami, Ichimaru Jin next to Aizen. Currently, relying on Soul Society's own power. It's dangerous. The pirate world. What? Urahara Kazuki received a contact from Soul Society. No time, I want to watch the battle. Find flowers. I don't have time to tell you this now. Kuretsuchi Mayuri also shouted in such a critical situation, get me Kurosaki Ichigo. Mr. Kurosaki. Urahara Kazuki thought for a while and said, no. Why? Kuretsuchi Mayuri felt that he was going to be pissed off by Urahara Kazuki. Because he is now fighting with the Quincy. What? Hearing these words, Kuretsuchi Mayuri was stunned. Queenskiller, it hasn't been solved yet, is the Quincy over there so strong? Quincy, what do you want to do? Kuretsuchi Mayuri thought of something and hurriedly said, is your situation okay now? This. Urahara Kazuki thought for a while and replied, get the upper hand. 0. Urahara Kazuki's words continued. The enemy seems to want to seal Mr. Kurosaki's Bankai, but they can't, so I'm very troubled. Can't it? Kuretsuchi Mayuri was startled. Why does this trick have no effect on Kurosaki Ichigo? What is the difference between Kurosaki Ichigo and the captain of Soul Society? At this moment, Pirate World. Obi was caught in a hard fight. Why is this? I, the Eucharist, can absorb even monsters. Why can't I absorb the power of Kurosaki Ichigo? Tensa Zangetsu. Now, Kurosaki Ichigo has displayed Tensa Zangetsu. Obi found that he had no choice but to take Kurosaki Ichigo. Now Obi is out of breath and lost to Kurosaki Ichigo Tensa Zangetsu. Kurosaki Ichigo's current strength and speed are above him. Request reinforcements. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at Hot MTL novel for free. At this moment, Obi burst into anger. Chuan, you guys, fear Bankai, Kurosaki Ichigo guessed. What to do? Boom. Do not make jokes. He is already looking bitter. Will you die? Obi can only escape. I'm not obligated to answer you about that kind of thing. I also met a guy before and seemed to want to seal my Bankai. Kurosaki Ichigo's eyes were cold, and he said, what are you insisting on doing this for? Tensa Zangetsu slashed directly at him. Under the slash. But if you do it again, it means that he is useless to Ukabuk. Chapter 290. In the pirate world, Kurosaki Ichigo finally began to suppress Obi. But this battle created very few shock points for Chen Tian. At present, the start of Wangquan, the scare point needed, is not in the pirate world. Kurosaki Ichigo, Obi's battle, can be added. Chen Tian's gaze could only continue to look at Soul Society. Now, Soul Society has changed. Sengoku, Sarutobi Hiruzen, etc., who have not completely left, were all surprised and didn't know what to say. They can't help at all. At the same time, they were stunned that such a powerful Soul Society would be suppressed by an existence. Especially the Buddha's Sengoku and other Marines. They have seen Soul Society Gotei 13, the power of every captain. Every captain has the power to kill 5 elders, but now. Sengoku of the Buddha waited in astonishment to see that they were helpless with the rays of light. At last, under this ray of light, the captains such as Hitsugaya Tōshirō and Byakuya Kuchiki chose to avoid instead of head-on. Bankai was taken away. With Kido or something, they can't fight against these lights at all. Ding, congratulations on getting 100,000 shock points from Sengoku of Buddha. Ding, congratulations on getting 100,000 shock points from Garp. Ding, congratulations on getting Sarutobi Hiruzen 100,000 shock points. Open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. In the palace of the Spirit King. At this moment Chen Tian knows that a steady stream of shocking points is being added. Wangquan is finally about to open. And at the moment. Soul Society. The Shinigami captains also know that the Spirit King is watching them. But they disappointed the Spirit King. The Shinigami captains, under the pursuit of light, finally gathered together. They leaned back against each other. But in the face of these lights, they don't know what to do. Only Zaraki Kenpachi roared, "Let me come. Will Bankai be taken away?" Unfortunately. Read more at mtlarchive.com. My strength is not Bankai. Zaraki Kenpachi went crazy, and the big sword in his hand smashed up like crazy. Boom, boom, boom. Zaraki Kenpachi gritted his teeth with a grim look. At this moment, the big sword in his hand is brave and invincible, with an invincible momentum. Looking at this scene, asked Byakuya Kuchiki to wait and nod. Now, it seems to rely on Zaraki Kenpachi to turn things around. As Kenpachi, under the anger of Zaraki Kenpachi, his eyes were filled with excitement and bloodthirsty. When the rays of light split apart, a voice came from behind Zaraki Kenpachi. Zaraki Kenpachi was startled. The other party is behind him, but he didn't notice it. At this moment, Zaraki Kenpachi turned around for the first time. At this moment, a trace of ruthlessness flashed in his eyes, and the force of the sword pressure was exerted to the extreme, and it was angry. The violent sound of breaking through the sky sounded like a world-breaking whine, called Shinigami, and other people were moved. Facing the sword of Zaraki Kenpachi, Yūhabak was still calm. He stretched out his palm, wrapped Linksei's hand, and directly squeezed Zaraki Kenpachi's big sword. While squeezing it, Yūhabak snorted, and his other fist struck out strangely, with a wave of endless power, and instantly landed on Zaraki Kenpachi. Boom. For a time, a terrible loud noise fluctuated. Byakuya Kuchiki waited to see Zaraki Kenpachi vomiting blood, and all of a sudden, he lost. Just when Ukabak was about to do something to Zaraki Kenpachi. At this time, Yamamoto Genryūsai had already appeared in front of Ukabak. He stared at Ukabak. The majestic aura was released from Yamamoto Genryūsai's body and swept in all directions. Pause. The entire Soul Society is shrouded in the aura of Yamamoto Genryūsai. Boom, boom, boom. Immediately, everything in Soul Society shook violently as if it had suffered a major earthquake that has not been seen in 1,000 years. The captain and Shinigami around him felt a deep shock at this time, and even the expression of Yūhabak was momentarily stagnant. The captain's momentum is so powerful. I saw the captain angry for the first time. Fool, I haven't even seen it. Even the captain is on. We captains and deputy captains, we can't just look at it like that. Yes. Damn it. You all cheer me up. How can you be so unbearable in front of Master Yuan Ryūjin? This is a shame for being a guardian. Quote. Talk about it. It hasn't changed at all, friends Habak. But Uhabak ignored the reactions of the other Shinigami, and only Yamamoto Genryūsai was in his eyes. At this moment, Yamamoto Genryūsai frowned and looked at Yūhabak and said, "Let the old man come and cut you off." Although it did not completely escape the attack of Yamamoto Genryūsai, it relied on its strong defense power. Yamamoto Genryūsai's attack did not cause any substantial damage to Ukabak. You are old, Yamamoto Genryūsai. Yūhabak sneered, however, your posture of anger possessed by you is quite a reappearance of the past. They were extremely shocked by the power of Yūhabak. Bankai, who was waiting for him, was like a mouse meeting a cat, and it was useless at all. Almost all the Shinigami around were full of indignation. The Gotei 13 captains below, each one said in a low voice. I haven't seen you in 1,000 years, friends Habak. They are very bad at first, and one of their combat powers is Zaraki Kenpachi. It's just that, at this time, the friend Habak noticed Zaraki Kenpachi not far away, and said slowly, it seems that the Spirit King is the first under the command. The combat power is not your Gotei 13, it will be an invisible empire in the future. The blade light rose instantly, almost covering the battle circle. Yamamoto Genryūsai swiftly rushed in the direction of Yūhabak, holding Zanpakuto in his hands high and slashing down. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at Hot MTL novel for free. The battle was divided at the touch of a touch, Yamamoto Genryūsai said solemnly. However, at this time, the friend Habak has already displayed a static blood suit that directly injects the spirit child into the blood vessel, which greatly improves the defense power of the body, and when Yamamoto Genryūsai launches an attack, the friend Habak had already noticed it and hid sideways. With that, the voice of Ukabak fell. Even the enemy of this level can't be dealt with, the old man can't remember teaching you so badly. Yamamoto Genryūsai said as he looked at the people of Gotei 13. Chapter 291. Nonsense. Hearing that, Yamamoto Genryūsai immediately displayed the hot hell. Single quote. In an instant, there were dozens of sky-reaching fire pillars emerging from Ukabak's whole body, and immediately, gathered together, and instantly exploded in Ukabak's whole body. Boom, boom, boom. The generated power directly turned all the buildings in the battle circle into dust. Quiet the cross knife. Single quote. Upon seeing this, Yūhabak surprisingly summoned a black knife with his own extinction cross, releasing a strong knife pressure to protect himself. Did you finally draw the sword? Yamamoto Genryūsai said lightly. It's as if you've been waiting for me to draw a sword. Ukabak squinted at Yamamoto Genryūsai not far away. You think, why should I wait? Bankai Canfire is 2 knife. Single quote. In an instant, above the Ryūjin Jakka in Yamamoto Genryūsai's hands, flames floated straight into the sky, looking extremely magnificent and frightening. The sword of fierce fire. The Ranhuo-Tai sword encloses all the flames in Bankai in the Ryūjin Jakka. Once it is swung, it is the end. It can burn the hit with explosive flames. Speaking of which, Bankai, you have seen it once 1,000 years ago. Yamamoto Genryūsai said lightly. Is it still the same as before? Whether it is the same as 1,000 years ago, you can only use your flesh and blood to test it. In an instant. Following that, Yamamoto Genryūsai displayed the sword of fierce fire. The faces of Shinigami all around changed drastically. My throat is so dry. The lips are cracked. So hot. Captain, how do I feel? My skin suddenly becomes so dry. Captain, please decide the winner as soon as possible, before the Soul Society is destroyed by your own power. Hyōrinmaru can't be used anymore. Hitsugaya Tōshirō said, lowering his head. You have noticed it. Soul Society's moisture is quietly losing a little bit. Many Shinigami are yelling at this time. The terrible Ryūjin Jakka, according to rumors, this is the temperature of the solar panel. If Bankai takes too long, the world will burn out. Sengoku of Buddha, and so on, are even more unbearable at this moment. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Their body water began to evaporate. In this state, the Buddha Sengoku and others felt that their bodies gradually lost their strength. In just a few moments, Sengoku of Buddha and others, their faces paled. The consternation in their hearts can no longer be described in words. Now, Yamamoto Genryūsai is not targeting them, but they have become like this. This difference in strength is frightening. Byakuya Kuchiki and others also looked shocked, let alone them. In the palace of the Spirit King, Chen Tian also nodded. Who is the #1 combat power under my command? Today's battle is finally about to come out. Countless points of shock is being produced. Chen Tian calculated that today, the infinite yellow spring is about to appear. In the battle circle, at this time, Yamamoto Genryūsai was already Shunko in front of Yūhabak, and Zanpakuto in his hand slashed towards Yūhabak. Upon seeing this, Yūhabak hurriedly backed away. But his speed is still slow. Even though the attack of the blade was dodged, the clothes in front of him were still slashed by the tip of the knife, which directly turned Ukabak's clothes into ashes. It's hit. But why is there no flame at all? Yūhabak frowned and thought. What's going on? Could it be that old Yamamoto's Bankai really happened compared to 1,000 years ago? Has anything changed? However, there is nothing wrong with Zanpakuto's Shikai and Bankai are not related. His Bankai's ability is flames. This can't be wrong. So, where did those flames go? Yūhabak, who was thinking about it in his mind, looked around on Zanpakuto in Yamamoto Genryūsai. Not for long. He was surprised to find that there were slight burn marks on the tip of Ryūjin Jakka's knife. See this scene. Friends Habak's pupils were suddenly condensed. Even on the blade. Did you find it? Yamamoto Genryūsai chuckled softly. Kanha Taito Dong Sunblade. The Kanwo Taito Dong Sunblade concentrates all the heat of the flame on the tip of the knife. Although this skill cannot burn, nor can it cause an explosion, as long as it is attacked by it, it will inevitably disappear without a trace. The defensive magical power of the Quincy Exterminator, the Static Blood Pack, is useless in front of the Canfire Taito Dong Sunblade. Yamamoto Genryūsai said confidently. It's boring. Yūhabak said lightly. In other words, as long as you don't touch the knife, you can just slash you directly. 15 million degrees, such a height approaching the limit, it is impossible to see with the naked eye. The strength of the captain is really too strong. Say it. However, his friend Habak at this moment did not shrink back, and whispered to Yamamoto Genryūsai. Bring it on. Yamamoto Genryūsai said in a low voice. Who is the strongest combat power? There is already a result. Everyone around was in a state of confusion at this time. Quote. The Shinigami outside the battle circle were all shocked at this moment, and each of them looked at Yamamoto Genryūsai, and they were all full of rich reverence and horror. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at Hot MTL novel for free. Following this, Yamamoto Genryūsai displayed the Kanha Taito Saikani prison garment. It's all over, friends Habak. Kanhuo Taito Shikan Sun prison shirt. Upon seeing this, Yamamoto Genryūsai immediately turned his own Reiatsu into a 15 million degree flame, covering his body and blade like a blazing sun. Yūhabak directly displayed the flying sickle foot, at an extremely fast speed. The black knife in his hand slashed through the air, and there was a burst of breaking wind, carrying a majestic vigor and murderous intent, rushing in the direction of Yamamoto Genryūsai. It's the captain's Reiatsu, who is overwhelmingly powerful and exists as real, making the captain's raging Reiatsu like a raging fire. Is it an illusion? The real 15 million degrees, you can't even touch the old man, just like the old man in Bankai. This time, Yamamoto Genryūsai said confidently, because, at this time, the old man, body and blade like the sun. Chapter 292. Yamamoto Genryūsai walked slowly in the direction of Ukabak. With that, Yamamoto Genryūsai's body became closer and closer to Yūhabak. Yūhabak clearly felt that everything around him was as if burned by a fire. Waves of air that had never been seen before, constantly struck towards Yūhabak, making the heart of Yūhabak a hint of horror was involuntarily churned in the depths. If there is no blood suit, even at this distance, I am afraid I would have been burned to ashes a long time ago. At this time, the friend Harbok thought in his heart like this. The shock given by Yamamoto Genryūsai was too deep. What, are you just standing just like this? Yamamoto Genryūsai spoke slowly. Yukabok's eyes fixed on Yamamoto Genryūsai, his pupils were a little hollow, and he secretly said in his heart, the sword is broken, there is nothing to do. Actually, you now can choose to escape. Yamamoto Genryūsai's deep voice rang again. Although, you will still be captured by the old man, and then, tortured to death. Hear the words. Friends Harbok moved. Big sacred bow. I saw that a huge spiritual bow with many arrows shaped like a giant spear suddenly appeared in the hands of the friend of Harbok at this time. Immediately, Harbok directly used his own spiritual power, and then opened his bow and pulled the arrow, and slammed an arrow in the direction Yamamoto Genryūsai was coming from. The arrow condensed by spiritual power blasted out at an incredible speed, suddenly distorting the air. Upon seeing this, Zanpakuto Ryūjin Jakka in Yamamoto Genryūsai's hand slashed forward. In an instant, the arrow that was full of majestic spiritual power fluctuations was directly turned into ashes. Link C concentrates the flame. At this moment, the friend Harbok did not hesitate at all. He immediately burned the ultra-high concentration of the spirit child into a blue flame, and released a destructive high temperature in the direction of Yamamoto Genryūsai. Suddenly, it caused all the moisture in the surrounding air to evaporate, causing the already hot surroundings to sink into a kind of scorching heat. Shinigami outside the battle circle. See this scene. Above their expressions, there was a touch of panic after another. Among them, there are many Shinigami, who have already stepped back several steps, heading towards the place where there is water behind. And as for, at this moment, Yamamoto Genryūsai's speed suddenly increased. After seeing a high temperature released by Harbok, he chuckled and said, nothing is of any use to the old man. His voice is full of unprecedented confidence. This self-confidence comes from his Kanha Teidao Shikani prison clothes. Is it? Hearing this, friends Harbok laughed. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Are you really the tactics of a Quincy? The only tactics you have are the cross and holy arrow. Sacred sings sanctuary praise. I saw that at this time, under the feet of Harbok himself and the surroundings of his body, all were enveloped by a huge wall of light. This is a great defensive spell of the Quincy offense and defense. Once the enemy steps into the area, they will be shot and killed by endless divine killers. But, he doesn't care about Yamamoto Genryūsai at this moment. In his opinion, everything of everyone is useless in front of him now. Soul corpses, the boils of the dead who are scattered in my flames, the hands of Jill and others, for the time being, share the joy of war. Yamamoto Genryūsai chanted. Kanha Taito Nan Huahuo 10 trillion death burial array. Immediately, I saw that Yamamoto Genryūsai directly inserted the blade of the Kanwo Taito in his hand into the ground. Immediately afterwards, the high temperature on Zanpakuto directly awakens the ashes of those who died under the sword of Genryūsai. In an instant, one by one, the skeletons that have turned into scorched black, formed a legion, and slashed endlessly in the direction of Harbok without reservation. What? See this scene. Harbok's expression was shocked, and above his expression, even at this moment, there was a touch of astonishment and astonishment. What the hell is this? Harbok's gaze stared at the scorched and extremely black skeletons outside the huge wall of light that were constantly impacting the praises of the sanctuary that he had displayed. Boom, 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 boom. However, at this moment, no one could answer Ukabok. What responded to him was that the skeleton legion kept bombarding the huge light wall that Ukabok called the strongest defense. The burial array of 10 trillion deaths in the fire. Yamamoto Genryūsai stared at the friend Harbok within the huge light wall and said indifferently, this is the ashes of the dead who died under the old man's sword, and the awakening of the dead aroused by the heat of the old man's sword. They are all like old men. His brothers and feet pursued the old man's enemies until they turned to ashes. As he said, Zanpakuto in Yamamoto Genryūsai's hand pointed directly at the friend Harbok in the light wall. Those scorched skeletons seemed to have received some instructions, and the bombardment of the light wall became more violent. Quote. Bang. Quote. Boom. Boom boom boom. Friends Harbok in the huge light wall. At this time, he can clearly feel that the huge light wall is shaking violently. Harbok knew very well that if these skeletons were allowed to attack endlessly, then this huge light wall, which he regarded as the strongest defense, would be shattered. Ha, ha, Algora, Schubert, hear the words. Harbok was startled. Harbok was shocked first. At this time, Yamamoto Genryūsai said faintly, how is it? How do the subordinates who are controlled by their past feel? A familiar figure flashed in his mind, frowning, and murmured in amazement, this is said Liz. Then, looking down at the skull in his hand, how do you deserve to serve the Spirit King? Talk about it. His eyes seemed to be unbelievable for an instant, names and figures flashed through his mind continuously. Suddenly, hearing this, Harbok sneered, the strength of Shinigami of Seireitei Gotei 13 actually awakens the dead. It's ridiculous and extremely ridiculous. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at Hot MTL novel for free. The despicable level of Shinigami really shocked me, it's unimaginable. Yamamoto Genryūsai, relying on this, is it possible, do you think you can stop me? Yūhabok directly flashed out of the light wall and rushed out towards the skeleton army, twisting the head of a skeleton with one hand. Immediately, Ukabok's eyes scanned the skeletons who were closer to him. My tongue is like a tongue, don't my eyes work well? Yamamoto Genryūsai smiled and said to the friend Habak who was rushing in the skeleton legion, did you see clearly? His head was twisted off. Is the company of the obliterated dead? Chapter 293. Outside the battle circle, the captain, deputy captain and team members of Gotei 13 who have been watching the game. At this time, on their faces, there was a touch of schadenfreude, looking at the friends of Habak in the skeleton army. You said, Habaker, will he attack his former subordinates? I think it should be. The purpose of Quincy and the others is not to destroy the emptiness. Moreover, they also want to destroy our Seireitei. There shouldn't be any time for mercy with such an existence. Moreover, he is still the head of the invisible empire. Quote. Many people began to whisper at this time. Yamamoto Genryūsai, you bastard, and the friend Habaker in the war circle, at this moment, he berated first, and then he asked in a puzzled manner, wait, where are you going? Quote. Don't make a noise, Yamamoto Genryūsai said. The old man just wants to keep some distance, although you can chase and kill the old man, but before that, you have to deal with your subordinates first. Asshole, Yūhabok yelled angrily. Did you regret it? Didn't you take the old man's bankai right away? Yamamoto Genryūsai turned around and faced Ukabok and said, but the old man knows. You didn't take it, but you couldn't take the old man at all. Bankai. You're Quincy killer. After ascertaining the other's bankai ability, through analysis, you can take its bankai directly away, isn't the old man right? It is precisely because of this that your Quincy is extremely jealous of Kurosaki Ichigo. This is because he has been practicing bankai for a short period of time, and there is still room for bankai to evolve. The old man is the opposite. For thousands of years, the old man has never used the real bankai powers. Therefore, your extinguishers do not know the details of the old man, so how can it be possible to take the old man bankai away? This is a very simple truth. Okay, everything should be over, friends Habak. Speaking of which, Yamamoto Genryūsai immediately released a strong aura, and the aura just appeared, and the skeleton legions that had almost besieged Ukabok immediately screamed. Oh. One by one, they rushed toward the friends of Habak and continued to attack. Seeing this, Ukabok couldn't help but shrink back. You know, these skeletons are all his subordinates who had died under Yamamoto Genryūsai's Zanpakuto in the past. How could he succeed in Yūhabok? But, Yūhabok, he forgot. Once someone stepped into the wall of light, they would be shot and killed by endless divine extinction arrows. Boom, 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 soon, just for a moment. There are dozens of skeletons, buried under the sacred arrow. This scene, falling in the eyes of friends Habak. Suddenly, the pupils of Uhabok's eyes became a little flushed. Read more at mtlarchive.com. It seems that you haven't really wiped out your humanity. Upon seeing this scene, Yamamoto Genryūsai said leisurely. Don't say it as if you know everything. Hearing this sentence from Yamamoto Genryūsai, Yūhabok became angry, and immediately roared. I said. Don't think you rely on these. You can stop me. Really. But, the old man saw with his own eyes, tears are already flowing from the corner of your eyes, Yūhabok. Yamamoto Genryūsai shook his head, and said with some pride, it's painful, isn't it? Don't let your subordinates fall. If the dead body is wiped out, you will not be able to get close to the old man. You should be very ruthless old man now, right? I think the old man summoned your dead subordinates back to the battlefield. It was the old man vicious. But, you know, Uhaba, this is worse than the Shinigami who were killed by you, pain and hatred. Far away. Say it. Yamamoto Genryūsai raised his head abruptly and looked directly at Ukabok who was still backing away. Kenhuo Teidao Bay heaven and earth are all ashes. At this moment, in the spirit palace. Ding, add shock point. Ding, unlimited yellow spring, officially opened. The sound of the system rang at this moment. The corner of Chen Tian's mouth was filled with a hint of smile. Has the infinite yellow spring finally opened? The opening of the infinite yellow spring will greatly enhance Chen Tian's authority. Ding, congratulations on getting other titles. Ding, you are the legendary Yama. Close black lens bracket. Ding, you are the Pluto in the myth. Close black lens bracket. Ding, you are the end of everything. Open black lens bracket. Ding, close black lens bracket. At this moment Chen Tian felt that he was not only a so-called title, but had changed. But now is not the time to view the infinite yellow spring. He looked at Soul Society. At this moment, Yamamoto Genryūsai and friends Habak finally reached the final battle. At this time, Chen Tian's hand stretched over and broke the boundary wall directly. Now, Yūhabok, Yamamoto Genryūsai is finally about to decide the final victory. Everyone's eyes are looking at this moment in shock. But no one thought that suddenly the space broke open and a hand appeared. Now, the palm of the hand was blocked in front of Yamamoto Genryūsai, Ukabok. With a terrible breath, and strength. Under the palm of this appearing hand, the flames of the residual fire Taito, and the power of Yūhabok disappeared at the same time. With the appearance of this hand, the fluctuating Soul Society also settled down at this moment. Who is this? Sarutobi Hiruzen watched this scene with trepidation. For them, they didn't even know the existence of the Spirit King. Sengoku of Buddha, Garp and others on the pirate's side glanced at each other, already guessing. The Buddha Sengoku solemnly said, "It's the Spirit King." A wave of Reiatsu also descended on Soul Society at the same time. Immediately, Soul Society, the Invisible Empire, or, Haweko Mundo, what you will compare next is your contribution to the construction of Infinite Yellow Spring. The Shinigami captains, such as Byakuya Kuchiki, are now full of endless depression on their faces. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chinese MTL fan fiction, Second Element novel can be read at Hot MTL novel for free. The Infinite Yellow Spring has been opened. At this moment, the real friend Habak appeared. But they all knew that it was the Spirit King watching them. There was no figure. Whether it was Yohabak or Yamamoto Genryūsai, they all looked solemn and looked in the direction of the sky. His Majesty the Spirit King means, we lost. What? Infinite Yellow Spring. The voice of the Spirit King resounded in the Soul Society. Yamamoto Genryūsai was startled. The Invisible Empire triumphed. The Star-Cross personnel of the Invisible Empire are now all unlocked. Next, there is the Infinite Yellow Spring. The voice of the Spirit King reached Haweko Mundo, and Aizen did not expect the Infinite Yellow Spring to be born after all. For Infinite Yellow Springs, Aizen is also very interested. This battle is a victory for Uhabak. Chapter 294. Chapter 294. An unparalleled battle came to an end in this way, but a Soul Society was still left behind. But this is nothing for Soul Society. Yamamoto and others are absolutely sure to rebuild Soul Society. It's just that every Shinigami remembered this battle deeply. They lost to the Invisible Empire in front of the Spirit King, and it was not all the existence of the Invisible Empire, but just a friend of Habak. Zaraki Kenpachi gritted his teeth, he was not reconciled to such a defeat. Shinigami glanced at each other. No one can bear this matter, and even Unohana Retsu thinks it would be better for her to take action, because even if she doesn't need Bankai, her kendo is also number one in Soul Society. But after all, it was defeated. That is to say, the next most qualified to know from the Spirit King what Infinite Yellow Spring is, the one who gets more resources of Infinite Yellow Spring should be Uhabak and his Star-Cross Knights. The next qualified person is Soul Society and Haweko Mundo, but Haweko Mundo and Soul Society, which one is more qualified? It depends on how His Majesty the Spirit King decides. Yamamoto Modonyajisai Shigekuni snorted at this moment, then turned and left. He who is not angry in prestige, lost today, he will also be deeply in his heart. Habakar smiled at the corners of his mouth and looked at all the captains of Soul Society mockingly, and then he also disappeared. At this moment, the Shinigami did not know where the Invisible Empire was. What on earth is Infinite Yellow Spring? Sengoku and others in the One Piece world and Sarutobi Hiruzen and others in the ninja world are very curious. They all see clearly that the Invisible Empire is now in order to obtain more resources from the Infinite Spring, so it launched an attack on the Soul Society. The Infinite Yellow Spring is like delicious food. It is more than eating. This is what Uhabak, Yamamoto Genryūsai Shigekuni, and even Aizen have been fighting over. It seems that these three transcendent forces at present will focus their attention on the Infinite Yellow Spring and will not have time to pay attention to us. Buddha Sengoku took a deep breath, and he said so at this moment. Sarutobi Hiruzen and others in Ninja World looked at each other and nodded repeatedly. To be honest, they also really want to know what Infinite Yellow Spring is, but after thinking about it carefully, they don't seem to have such qualifications. At this moment, Uhabak has already arrived in the Spirit Palace. Now with the battle between Uhabak and Yamamoto Genryūsai, there are too many horror points obtained, and the Infinite Yellow Spring appears, and when all the members of the Star-Cross Knights unlocked, they stood one by one at the moment. Behind Bak. A. Ishida Yulong, antithesis is completely opposite. B. Yuglin Hasward, world harmony, balance. C. Panita Pakaja, enforcement, compulsory. D. Yaskin Naklevel, death dealing. E. The marriage of Bambietta Bastabai, critical strike, explode. F. Ace not fear. ... As they come. Now Chen Tian stretched out his hand a little. Suddenly, one after another spheres appeared, just as the spheres of the 12 universes in Dragon Ball Super had shrunk. Read more at mtlarchive.com. The Infinite Yellow Spring refers to the Yellow Spring in different dimensional worlds. Chen Tian said faintly at this moment. Some worlds already exist in Wangquan, but some worlds don't have it yet, so it needs to be established. Chen Tian looked at Uhabak and others at this moment, and said lightly, now you can start your own choice and see which world Wangquan you choose to operate. Uhabak did not answer the question of the Spirit King in the first place. Uhabak looked cruel, but he was not without his mind. Now Uhabak is thinking. Finally, I thought of something, and said, Infinite Yellow Springs, but it's impossible to be infinite at the beginning. Chen Tian nodded. Now that the Infinite Yellow Spring has just been unlocked, how could it be infinite in the first place? Chen Tian said, there are currently 5 Yellow Springs temporarily. In other words, there are 5 dead souls in different worlds. They are the keys. You can descend into their original world through them. For example, Urami Yusuk. Chen Tian's voice is vast, sacred, and undefeatable. Now in this space, it resounds, and at the same time he points a finger, and input information into the minds of friends, Habahe, etc. His world already has the existence of Wangquan. Now, he is a super bad boy who caused anxiety in the neighborhood. But he is also a stubborn messenger of justice. He is in the second grade of Satayashiki Middle School, and lives with his mother, Anko. Find flowers. Now, Yūhabok and others have already understood. What is Urami Yusuke's world like? There are also a few souls, but Chen Tian is not ready to continue, because he knows that Yūhabok has already decided. Just this world. Yūhabok has already chosen. Now, Chen Tian stretched out his hand, a light group, which fell into the hands of Yūhabok at this moment. This is the soul of Urami Yusuke, and Yūhabok can use this soul to enter Urami Yusuke's world. 0. Right now, Chen Tian waved. Friends of Habak and the Knights of the Star Cross are leaving. Chen Tian clapped his hands at this moment. The Zero Division suddenly appeared. Of course, in some worlds, there are already yellow springs. Of course there is a ninja world, but Senju Hashirama is dead. It is boundless. Spirit Palace. During the super period of Dragon Ball, the big devil Piccolo who died long ago. These light clusters are the keys to connect to other worlds, that is, the soul. Soul Society hasn't been in a particularly good state recently, so let's go. Then the last light group. Shin, do you rule the world? The last is the heavenly Xingjuj world, but also the dead King Qin Zhaoshang. There is another light group. Madara, are you here? There is even a yellow light group said. Is this the heaven? No, different from the heaven of that hypocritical guy, Big Devil Bick, is resurrected in a brand new posture. But, Chuan. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at Hot MTL novel for free. A jet black light group was wandering in the Spirit Palace. What exactly is this place? The heaven. No, this place is different from the heaven. The heaven guarded by the flying tents is not like this. The monk of the Zero Division glanced at each other, nodded, and left as well. At this moment, Chen Tian released the remaining souls. They are the demon respect building that has been destroyed during the first period of Shanjian. At this moment, Chen Tian wants to use them to establish Wangquan in their world. Chapter 295. At this moment, Chen Tian looked at the light clusters in front of him and wondered how to make these light clusters clearer. After all, just looking at these light groups, who knows who is not conducive to the construction of infinite yellow springs. Finally Chen Tian thought of something, he pointed a finger, and suddenly a long street appeared. As the Spirit King, at the same time, he is also the Hades, he who is Hades naturally has the power to create the world. This street connects Soul Society, Hueco Mundo, and the Invisible Empire. This long street is Wangquan Street. At the same time, Chen Tian pointed a finger, and these auras appeared on Wangquan Street. Immediately these light groups were transformed into human forms. They were a demon respect building in black armor, Wang Chongyang in a Taoist robe, and the big demon King Piccolo who was covered in green and looked like a monster. Of course, there is also the old man, but he did not expect that he would still be able to open his eyes to see King Qin Zhaoshang of the world. The emergence of Wangquan Street was noticed by Yamamoto Motoryu Sai Shigekuni. Aizen also noticed because of the power of Hogyoku, and Habak, the friend of the Invisible Empire, also noticed. At this moment, Chen Tian's voice resounded in Soul Society, Invisible Empire and Hueco Mundo. You Habak, now you have obtained a soul key, the next one is Soul Society priority or Hueco Mundo priority, it's up to you. Chen Tian's voice is vast and mysterious. As Chen Tian's voice fell, Soul Society and Hueco Mundo both fell into a temporary silence. Yamamoto did not hold a meeting of Captain Shinigami. He just experienced a failure. Yamamoto did not want to talk to any Shinigami at this moment. He just quietly looked at Zanpakuto in his hands. Aizen in Hueco Mundo is a very cautious guy, and he didn't make his own choice in the first place. Let's take a look at how Yūhabok and Shinigami do it. Aizen only learned about the Invisible Empire's invasion of Soul Society, and even more did not expect that Yamamoto, the invincible captain, would lose. Aizen feels that she needs to calm down before. Mazen was standing on Wangquan Street at the moment with cold eyes. He remembered the moment he watched Jingtian die, and the moment when Zizan and Shu Chengqing separated. He felt that everything good fortune was done by the Emperor of Heaven. Ghost, so who continued to kill the heavens again, but he did not expect that the Emperor of Heaven would exert a more terrifying combat power than Fei Peng. So the demon respect building was not an opponent at all, his soul was dissipated and completely no longer, and he was also a little surprised that he could still appear here in the form of a soul body at this moment. Where is this place? King Qin Zhaoshang, Big Demon King Piccolo, and Senju Hashirama around the Masho Tower. King Qin Zhaoshang and Senju Hashirama both shook their heads, saying that they didn't know. They were extremely afraid of the guy with horns in front of them and the green-skinned guy like the unbelievable demon. Like normal people, how can such creatures exist even in hell? But Big Demon King Piccolo didn't reply. Now Ishin wanted revenge. He still remembered that he was punched through his stomach by Monkey King. At this moment, what happened on Wangquan Street was seen by Shinigami's captains. In the end, Hitsugaya Tōshirō was the first to go out. In Hitsugaya Tōshirō's eyes, these agility are the so-called soul keys. Through them, they can go to other worlds, build yellow springs, and then obtain resources. Hitsugaya Tōshirō feels that as long as he seizes a good opportunity, even he may defeat Yūhabok in the future. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Hitsugaya Toshirō walked up Wonquan Street. With white hair, he naturally attracted the attention of Demon Respect Building, Big Demon King Piccolo, King Qin Zhaoshang, and Wang Chongyang. You came here because of His Majesty the Spirit King. His Majesty the Spirit King is the Soul Society. This world, Hueco Mundo, Infinite Yellow Springs and many other worlds' highest powers, he is. Hitsugaya Toshirō introduced it directly. After hearing Hitsugaya Toshirō's words, King Qin Zhaoshang and Senju Hashirama looked at each other, secretly saying that the so-called Wonquan is in charge of the King of Spirits. The Demon King Piccolo nodded, without any doubt. The Demon Respect Building yelled, "You don't put the Emperor in your eyes at all." The world view introduced by Hitsugaya Toshirō was completely different from what he knew. The Demon Respect Building knows the existence of the 6 realms, but where is the Soul Society? How could he be so easy to deceive? Hitsugaya Toshirō. To such a guy, become his soul key, recognize his status, cooperate with himself to go to their world, and establish Wonquan. It's hard. And of course the friend Habak at this moment also saw what happened on Wonquan Street with his strength. The corner of his mouth smiled contemptuously. Then he stretched out his palm. It was Urahara Kazuki. Friends Habak, who has omniscience and abilities, already knows what to do. Want to resurrect. At this moment, Yu Habak played the role of peony in Yu Yu Beishu. The development of Yu Yu Hakusho, Yu Habak relied on the power of omniscience and omnipotence. Coupled with the information given by the Spirit King, he knows. A 14-year-old bad boy Urami Yusuke was hit and killed by a car in order to save a child. As the spirit world did not anticipate his death and did not have a place for him, he was given a chance to be reborn. After the test of the spirit world, Urami Yusuke finally returned to his body and became a detective in the spirit world. What Uhabak did was to give Urahara Kazuki a chance to rebirth, and he agreed to establish Wonquan. Urami Yusuke at this moment, where he was Uhabak's opponent, was completely confused, and directly agreed. At this moment, what Habak felt, he found that he could go to other worlds. Star-Cross Knights, follow me to the yellow springs of their world for a while. Yama, little Hades. Uhabak smiled coldly, surrendering lives, resisting lives. Right now, a door appeared in the invisible empire. This is not through the gate. It is the gate of infinite yellow springs. The other side of the door is undoubtedly the hell of Yu Yu Hakusho's world. Now, Uhabak waved his hand, taking Urami Yusuke's soul, and the Star-Cross Knights, and set off. What they have to do is to conquer the yellow spring in the world of Yu Yu Hakusho, and then rebuild it. At this moment, you travel to the world of Hakusho. What? The soul named Urami Yusuke disappeared. Hades is not in business. At this moment, Xiao Yan Wang is in charge. After hearing Peony's report, he was shocked. What happened? What happened?